What a way to kickstart our Friday morning. That belt, and now in the next leg of the show, of course, we're going to be hosting assisting editor Kojo Brace, who is our guest. That will be right after the news. But just a few bits to look forward to this morning. First off, we're going to serve you prime take right after the news review. And then two-time world champion Joseph Akakpo has a new title. We'll be telling you about why he wants to be called Togbi Kaleto the second. That conversation airs right after the news review. For blunt thoughts, I'll be sharing with you my thoughts on the topic of Galamsey gimmicks, a family and friends government, and human rights abuse. Ghana on the radar. I'll be bringing you that right after all of these. In terms of the big stories, two crucial matters we're bringing your way this morning. The National Road Safety Authority has a new report out which shows that there is a decline in road safety crashes. And that is what we're going to be focusing on. We're going to be addressing the whys and hows of that and how to sustain those gains. On the second leg of the big stories, we talk politics as Dr. Kwabena Dufour is talking about the fact that if he is given the nod to form a new NDC government, he will eliminate all schools under trees. But how exactly does he mean to do that? We'll be bringing you the details of that as he has been touring the central region. And finally, we'll be hosting the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana. They celebrate 60 years in 2023. All of that coming your way this morning on the AM show. So just stick and stay, and let's serve you the news up next. Now, in our first story, the Mache Jokpa Health Center in the whole municipality in the Volta region is currently housed in a two-room apartment on the outskirts of the community. The facility lacks space to operate and essential equipment to offer the best health services. Correspondent Fred Kwame Asari brings us more.
The Mache Jokpa Health Center receives not less than 10 clients a day for various health services. The under-equipped facility provides OPD, maternal and child health, and other essential services. There's only 2 rooms available. Hence, health workers are compelled to squeeze the available space to deliver healthcare services.
We don't have a place for delivery. It's just a chamber and hall that I have personally demarcated, where we have place for detention, but it's not a comfortable place. It's not spacious enough that when people can, they'll feel comfortable. So the whole facility we need a bigger facility. Then we need a place for delivery, and then delivery bed, because currently as a midwife, there is no bed for delivery. So we use the normal bed at a time, or I have to use a mat to conduct deliveries.
Nonetheless, a whole Central National Democratic Congress parliamentary candidate aspirant responded to the distress call and donated 2 beds, 2 wheelchairs, and 2 strollers to the facility. Raphael Koda said the initiative was part of his bigger plan to improve healthcare delivery in the whole central constituency.
Now, there's a community of 5, and this chip zone actually serves the entire 5 communities. So there is nothing. And I came for an assessment, looked at it, and realized that at least I can support. Because they do deliveries, a lot of deliveries. Mothers come to the hospital, to the chip zone, and there's not even a single anything, at least impacting a community is what leadership is all about. If we can do this across board, we'll make life better for all of us.
He hinted at introducing policies to improve the economic status of constituents when elected into parliament in 2024.
The unemployment rate, which is increasingly becoming a threat to us and in the whole central, is a concern. My message to the youth is to provide sustainable jobs, job opportunities for them, so that they can be economically independent. Within the next term, by the time my term ends, at least about 200 youths should be economically independent to be able to support them, their families, and at least extend a helping hand to 2-3 more people. And that will help us to reduce the unemployment rate in the West Central constituency.
Fred Kwame Asari, JoyNews, Mache Jokbe.
Now, the Tamale Teaching Hospital has directed the Northern Electricity Distribution Company to chase government for a bill of 46 million Ghana cedis. NEDCO was at the hospital to recover debt owed the power distributor. Now, during the engagement, the hospital's administrator, Emmanuel Donko, said the hospital did not have the power to alter the government or NEDCO agreement.
NEDCO, since the 18th of April, began an exercise to recover its debt of 1.2 billion Ghana cedis. The target of the power distributor is to recover at least 50% of its money owed. It is on that premise that NEDCO, led by its managing director, Osman Ayuba, were at the TTA to meet with hospital management to dialogue on their debt. But the hospital administrator, Emmanuel Donko, said the hospital does not pay electricity bill from its coffers.
As a matter of fact, we as an institution, we do not pay for electricity from our coffers. We don't do that. It is being paid for by the government. And as far as I'm aware, I think last month or so, we were asked to forward our bill, and we did say. So the thinking is that this figure that you have even mentioned, this will be more than that. So practically the government had defrayed a portion, leaving this figure right now. It is our expectation that now that you are carrying on these exercises, government will see the need to defray the debts for us to continue to enjoy your good services. For now, I cannot say for a fact that the government would reimburse the money today or tomorrow.
Staying on health-related matters, the Ghana Health Service says punitive measures are being taken to address the increasing number of legal suits against its personnel and facilities. Health Minister Akakpo Adjumamenu, at an ongoing senior managers meeting of the Ghana Health Service in Kumasi, expressed worry at the increasing spate of litigation in the health sector. But the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumabwaji, tells Ohiming Tewe of our health desk administrative sanctions are taken against staff whose conduct affects the service negatively.
According to Health Minister Akakpo Adjumamenu, the increasing number of lawsuits against health professionals in their line of work in recent times is worrying. He observed some cases were recorded when he joined the ministry 6 years ago, but the number has shot up in recent times, almost becoming normal for health professionals and facilities to be sued for negligence.
What I'm seeing of late in the ministry are issues of litigation. For the past 4 weeks or so, almost every week, we get at least one letter from the Attorney General's office. Somebody has sued somebody with problems with care, service delivery, and they want us to come with information for them to go to court with. Then we refer to Director General Kumabwaji. But I've been with you for the past 6 years. Earlier when I came in, those things were not happening that much. But now it's become something, it's just climbing, it's becoming very common.
But the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kuma Boaji, says steps are being taken to address the issue. He tells Joy News erring personnel are made to face punitive actions as part of the service's quality assurance controls.
There are some that we can have, that some negligence that has been. That's why I said those ones, the administrative sanctions are applied, and those who need to be trained, who need to be corrected, are corrected. And this is part of the quality assurance system that also helps. So we are not against people who feel that they have not been treated well. Sometimes they also don't understand our protocols, and it's not as if we lose every case. But there are some cases that once we do further explanation, people understand. So that's why it is. I see it as more of a positive sign that allows also us to set up.
Dr. Kuma Boaji believes the introduction of training for health workers, among other measures, would go a long way to improve the situation.
For me, this litigation is a good sign. People are understanding their rights. They are demanding quality, and there's nothing wrong with people who feel that they've not been treated well to take up an action. We have a system. We continue to do training. We continue to encourage people not to do the wrong thing. We continue to people to be professional, and we believe that that's one is there. But because also people have become a bit more enlightened, it is important. It's going to help us shape health delivery services that we have. We have a legal department that works with Attorney General to ensure that all those things are addressed, and where we feel there's a defect, appropriate administrative sanctions are taking place, training is taking place if we feel that some standards were not met. So that's how it's an ongoing process.
From Kumasi, for Joy News, Ohiminteria reporting.
On health once more, Ghana has no documented child death related to measles, though the country experienced an outbreak during the period of a vaccine shortage. That's according to the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kuma Boaji, who is commending health workers and partners for the successes chalked. Ohiming Tewe of our health desk has more in this report.
Ghana experienced a shortage of childhood vaccines between 2022 and 2023. Within that period, the Ghana Health Service announced an outbreak of measles, one of the 6 killer diseases among children. Oral polio and measles vaccines, among others, were in short supply in child welfare clinics across the country. Frustrated mothers jostled between home and clinics in search of non-existent vaccines for months. But speaking at the African Vaccination Week launch in Kumasi, Dr. Kuma Boaji said Ghana has no record of childhood deaths associated with measles as the country reaches the elimination stage. He commended health workers and partners of the Ghana Health Service, including the World Health Organization and UNICEF, for their commitments towards a reduction in vaccine-preventable diseases.
Ghana can confidently boast of achieving the following immunization milestones. Over 90% coverage for almost all routine vaccines in the country. That is 9 out of 10 children are fully vaccinated. The proportion of fully vaccinated children, that is those aged between 12 to 23, that is 1 to 2 years, has improved from 47% in 1998 to 77% as of the last demographic and health survey in Ghana. That was almost 10 years ago. We believe that the figure is even much higher now. There is no documented child death due to measles, and despite the outbreaks that we had a bit of last year, there's still no death associated with the measles. And the country is in elimination mode for measles control. The country has been free of wild polio virus since 2009, and Ghana's documentation for polio-free certification was accepted by the African Regional Coordinating Committee in 2007.
Meanwhile, WHO's country representative, Dr. Francis Chikasa Kosolo, has called for strong collaborations and investments in immunization systems. He also wants issues related to vaccine hesitancy addressed.
As we celebrate the 2023 African Vaccine Week, we must work together in the spirit of the Sustainable Development Goals to ensure that no child is left behind. This means investing in strong immunization systems, increasing vaccine coverage, and ensuring that vaccines are accessible to all that needs them. We must also address vaccine hesitancy, which has become a growing concern in recent years, especially in relation to our COVID-19 vaccine deployment. Misinformation and mistrust have led some people to refuse vaccination, putting them at risk of the disease.
From Kumasi, for Joy News, Oyementiria reporting.
That's the end to the bulletin and the start of the news review. Up next shortly. Do stay. Well, thank you for staying with us for the news review. Now, it's brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. They are offering all of us free prostate screening if you're a man and free female fertility screening if you're a woman. Now, here's where to locate them. Here in Accra, Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. In Kumasi, you can find them at Kronoma Wehia behind the Angel Educational Complex. There also is Takrade Anaji Estate, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hansua, and Esiama Nzema. You can reach them on 0244-867-068 or 0274-234-321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Well, this morning I am joined by someone, a brother from another mother who has been AWOL, absent without leave. But this morning he's decided to show his face. He's none other than SKB.
Yeah, that's what it is.
You know, this morning you've reminded me of SKB Asante.
Oh, yeah.
I never actually paid attention.
Yeah, SKB, yeah.
Samuel Kojo,
yeah.
Charlie Faboom.
Charlie. Fortunately, I share some sweet initials with a very great man, so I'm proud to have that. SKB Asante. He's a great man, you know.
Anyway, we're about to get into the papers, but for you, what are the standout issues that have cropped up? There's been a lot of talk, for example, about Professor Frimpong Boateng, his missive, if you like, to the president and matters arising. In fact, this very morning, a stalwart, a very important personality reached out to me about, you know, this wanting further information about it. I do not know what you make of that situation. And again, what stands out for you? What has stood out for you in the course of this?
Well, you know, that story, it sort of cements or like brings into reality the sort of, in quote, allegations or rumors that we're hearing that some people in high places are involved in this whole Galamsey thing. Now, this is a man who was in charge of the fight against Galamsey, who has come out to say that there are people at the presidency, there are members of parliament who were involved in this Galamsey. Now, there's a saying that, is it when the frog, is that what they say? When the frog comes out of the water to tell you.
From the bottom of the pond.
That, you know, it's warmth in there.
Right.
You cannot argue with him because he's coming from there. Now, this is
I think that it says if the frog comes from the bottom of the pond, to tell you that the crocodile is dead, you don't dispute it. Because it goes down there.
Exactly. Now, this is a man.
Denchem is crocodile.
Exactly, you know. Now, this is a man who was in charge of this fight. Now, he comes out to tell us that. Now, he mentions names. We don't want to mention because, you know, sometimes he has put it out there. It is subject to, you know, rebuttals and all of that. I mean, this morning, while I was coming on there, I was speaking to one of them. He didn't give me his permission to put out his name, but his name is in there. And he was trying to explain, you know, his side of the whole thing. So, if that man has come out to put all of those names out, there's little we can do in terms of arguing until those people who have been mentioned are able to put up a good case and exonerate themselves. We can only, you know, go with what is there. So, Ben, In fact, it sort of tells you why we are where we are in terms of the fight against galamsey. That you see, the leader may have a very good intention to try to deal with the problem. But when the followers do not buy into the vision and are doing the same things the leader is fighting against, I tell you what, nothing will happen. Because the leader is only, leading a team and he's spelled out his vision, right?
Yeah.
Some people are supposed to implement the plans to achieve his vision. If the implementers are sabotaging it, then of course, that's why we are where we are. We can say that some gains have been made, right? But the gains are always overshadowed by the
losses.
Yes, exactly. Because look at the color of our river bodies. Which of the river bodies is now recovering?
A friend of mine passed by one of them recently, and she came back. Sometimes when we talk about it, it seems a bit distant.
Yeah.
It is the Ankobra in this community. It is the Tano. It is the Bia. But when you go through those places and you see it for yourself, there's a certain shock effect. Do you get it? And that is what she experienced. She took a video of the water body. I don't want to mention which one.
Yeah.
And she came back and she said, Charlie, the thing is, I said, well, it is what it is.
I don't get shocked because...
she's not a media person. So, you will see these things from time to time.
Well, not per se. People like us, we've lived in the Western region. When you are crossing into the Western region, you go
there
over...
are swathes of that.
You go over Pra, you go over Pra, and then when you enter the region, you go over a river like Butre. Butre is so polluted. There's one in Apremdo, so polluted. And then you go to Almighty Ankobra, so polluted.
That's for Ankobra, it's gone. So to speak.
The thing is that if we are, the researchers say, even if we are able to put a stop to it
today,
it will take us how many years? Is it 50?
They talk about 100.
So
what that means,
river bodies,
Kojo, is that if and from now to 100 years' time, we don't touch the water body. There's no illegal mining. Everything has been done to contain that. It will take 100 years.
Even our kids, unless those who are 8 years and 9 years, that's 109 years.
So do you realize what we're bequeathing to future generations, to our children and their children? We're bequeathing debt. We're bequeathing a polluted environment. We're bequeathing to them. Of course, our resources are not finite. As we keep wasting them, so to speak, we're bequeathing losses to them. They'll come and deal with things like climate change, global warming, worse climate patterns.
That's
For me, sometimes I dread.
So all of the people who are doing things, look, nobody is saying that don't do mining. There is a small, regularized, small-scale mining, which you follow procedures, right? So if you want to go into mining, go through the process, go for your concession, go through the right processes and mine. That nobody is saying don't do it. But when you have left the right way to do it, and you are engaging in the same illegality that your leader, who is the president, wants to fight against, then of course, you don't have any moral right to be in that particular office. Because you're being led by a leader who says that, okay, Ben, for example, I want to take you to Takrady. If I talk to you and say, Ben, I want us to go to Takrady for a tour, will you be with me? And you agree, it means that you're going to be under my leadership for me to lead you through the nooks and crannies of Takrady, isn't it? Now, if we get there and then you get to Takrady station and decide you want to go to 1111, when you only heard the name of 1111, you've not been there before, and you take a very bad route to get to 1111, on your way you will probably pull down some billboard somewhere. You are sabotaging my lead, isn't it? So everybody who has left the right way to mine, who is in high authority and has left the right way to mine and is doing an illegality, that person has no moral right to be in that office. And I hope that the government will take what Professor Frimpong, and we are told this was sent to the office in 2021, isn't it?
Yeah.
Something must be done about it. Because
it's addressed to the chief of staff.
Yes, to the president through the chief of staff. By now, what has been done about that report? Because anytime I pass by the Pra, I pass by Ankobra, sometimes Butre, sought to try to recover, then the next time you pass there, it has changed. And I'm sure we know where these people are. Why are we not able? They launched the water, the river guards. What's the update? Maybe it's something we need to ask the ministry. Now, what is the update on the water guard, the river guard?
And do you know what is even more hurtful?
No.
We spend money on all of these
Yes.
drives.
Yeah.
Operation this, operation that, and you remember the one where Charles Bisu was sometimes.
Is the IMCIM where the chairman?
Yes, the IMCIM.
Yes.
You would have a lot of these crop up using state funds, and in fact, they achieve nothing, and the matter gets even worse. So we claim to be trying to solve the problem. We expend funds supposedly to solve the problem. The problem only gets worse, and we're still spending money on those attempts. Do you get it?
Yeah, I get it.
We are losing from both ways. Taxpayers' money is going, and our natural resources are also getting even further deteriorating.
That is a point we could have done something huge with this. You remember when the moratorium was placed?
Right.
There was no mining. Everything was stable. Then they vetted licenses of these small-scale miners. And then they did the Galamstop, which was like an app that would give you coordinator of wherever Galamsey is happening. They trained people in drone and all of that. There was some coordination until something hit the committee. I don't know what happened. But when something hit it, it really pushed every effort away. And I think that in that same space, that's when some of these people, these MPs and co whose names are out there, probably got themselves involved in.
If you ask me,
it's serious.
It's been said that the president has shown enough commitment to the fight against Galamsey, especially as he put his presidency on the line. I think differently. Why? It's simple. Take a child and tell the child, I will do X for you. If you don't do X and we see Y, you cannot say that, oh, I attempted doing X, but I've not been able to deliver X. After how many years? 6 years. We're in the 7th year. In fact, next year is an election year, 8th year. If you make a promise, and 8 years down the line, because Galamsey was one of the topical issues, even before Akufo-Addo became president. It's not just about the time he made that promise. So if within a period of 8 years, you're still not able to, and mind you, I am not saying that Galamsey is some problem that you can just wipe off. I think we've heard from various sources say that it could take anything between 5 to 10 years. But you see, within those 5 years, you would see something. Do you get it?
Yeah.
You would see some action. You would see some recovery. You would see something. But if you're seeing worse, and you're seeing more people with political ties, or who walk the corridors of power, people who are politically exposed, appearing to be implicated in this, appearing to be complicit in this, and it's always a clean them, clean them, fan belt, then obviously there is a huge problem. And of course, a certain regional chairman of the MPP is also, mentioned. It's shocking because there are big wigs in the party who are pointed to. And some of them have had issues. And of course, I can go ahead and mention Akontama.
So I think I agree with you on the score of the president, even though he has shown some level of commitment. Why you would say that you disagree when it comes to the real intent? Because if in the report the man sent, he says that in front of the president, the president had given a caveat that the Minerals Commission and the Forestry Commission suspends all licenses given to people to prospect in 47. Is it 47? He quotes a number. Is it 47 or 74? Forest reserves, After the president had given that caveat, the Forestry Commission was still giving licenses to people. And he says in his own words, in the presence of this person, I told the president that the main challenge to Ghana's problems, has to deal with, this person. Okay, we are okay to mention the name.
So Asemesi,
okay,
so and so.
No, we can't because of course we've spoken to a legal person.
No, I thought you didn't want to, and I didn't want to put you.
As for this person, he says we can mention. Sir John, for example.
Okay.
The report says, in presence of Sir John, I told the president that Ghana's problem, the main problem to Ghana's forest reserves is him, Sir John.
But the point is, John is
exactly.
not here to.
I understand.
Unfortunately, he's not able to.
But the question
is,
what happened afterwards when the man said that to the president in presence of Sir John?
But the point to be made is that even before the unfortunate demise of Sir John, this had gone. Do you understand? This had been sent to the presidency, to the House, before the unfortunate demise.
Yes.
Now the question to ask is, what measures had been adopted?
That's
because
the thing.
we even now find a will where he's willing parts of forest.
That's why I'm asking
reserves.
What was the action taken when the man said that? That you want to preserve the forest reserves. The main problem is the man who is superintending over the commission. You know, so when these reports go to the presidency, what sort of actions are taken, really? Because the man has mentioned some names. What sort of investigations were done? Because this is like 2 years ago, isn't it? This is not like yesterday.
Do you know something? I'm going to proffer something that may sound odd in political circles, but I think, Kojo, I think we have to have a system where we're observing a democracy, but with actions like this that implicate the executive, that the executive would have no power. Let's say some other organ of government or some other body would be the one to conduct every step of the investigation. Something, I don't know, because look, you cannot be a judge in your own case. It's a common legal maxim, if you like. But a lot of the time, that is what we do. We whitewash. And I'm going to say this, the Ghana Police Service, a lot of people forget, is a branch of the executive arm of government, which is why we've always found it problematic when the executive president has to handpick somebody. Unlike in other jurisdictions where there are other systems to select these people so that they can. I'm not trying to say that the IGP is not operating above the board, but IGP in, IGP out, from at least since I've started following, from Peter Namfuri to now. From Namfuri to David Asante Apietu to all of them. Once you're handpicked by a political element, there seems to be some challenge for them. And that is my problem. Because if there were some independence in terms of dealing with the issue, so the issue comes, he's a member of the executive branch of government. Okay, so this is the entity that will deal with this matter. I feel, and so maybe this missive of Prof would not even go to the chief of staff. It would go elsewhere. And they would go through everything thoroughly. I don't know, because I can't trust the executive to investigate itself. Not today, not yesterday, not today, not tomorrow. What have we seen? Apart from Abu Gapele a few years ago, and under the NDC, and they have also had their array of issues. What happens when they're in power? What is happening now? It is clear. And I can assure you again, Kojo, we're here on air today. Nothing will happen to a lot of these people that we're talking about unless there is some major intervention. I don't know whether, I don't want to say certain things, but for me, I don't know where we're headed as a country. I don't.
It's serious. I think that when you really look at it, until we decide that we'll put Ghana first, would love our country, and when the law, is implemented or enforced to the letter, we may not be getting some of these, desired effect that we want to see. Because the stories about even how military men involved themselves took a lot of money from these Galam players when they were put on the field, and how all of these people are involved in illegalities and nothing is being done. In fact, I think we cannot even count on us putting Ghana first any longer. Now, it's the law that has to work.
The point is, our leaders are obviously not putting Ghana first. They are putting themselves, their families, their pockets. I'm saying that
first. So we cannot. We cannot hope for that again.
I mean, you can't ask a thief to investigate himself or to pronounce himself culpable.
Yeah.
You get what I mean?
Yeah. So I think there is a law that has to be enforced, because you don't even know that if you put Kofi Mensah, who is not in power today, there, he will do same or not.
And you know,
if you want to know a person, give him the opportunity to either steal or not. That's when you get to know. So I think there is a law that has to work.
Yeah.
We cannot count on ourselves any longer.
But maybe to cap it all off, I think it's also because, and just to move away from Galamsey and get into the papers, I feel it's also because we have a very shoddy system when it comes to assets declaration. Look, we know people, NDC, NPP, they had never worked before, never really done anything. Sebio, omo mobra. Nothing to show. Went into politics, and all of a sudden they moved from zero to hero. They had everything. They started putting up the mansions, houses that Kojo, based on what we earn and everything, it will take you a long time to put together. All of a sudden they are riding in certain luxurious, or luxury vehicles, doing certain things. Look, a lot of these people don't even, they push assets in certain names. They are all theirs. They are acting like oligarchs. Do you get it? How is it that someone who graduated from university in the mid-2000s, never worked before, can own a house in a certain plush place with a pool and afford, I don't want to mention names and I don't want to say certain things, but from both sides, it's become our bane. The question is, how do they get those resources? Galamsey is one of them.
But Ben, can't it happen if you get some contract, some juicy contract somewhere from a private business?
So they are the only ones who get the contracts, right?
No, I mean, there are some business people who...
All of them are doing well. We must ask ourselves, and that is why some young people today are saying, share. Me too, I'll go.
Into politics.
And it's all about, they tell us, don't they tell you?
Yeah.
I'm going, constituency. I want to chop some. He feels or she feels, look, is the way to go, is the quickest way to earning anything. And it doesn't make sense.
Okay, but I have some friends who are MPs.
And I'm not saying it is all of them.
I have
there is a minority.
I have some friends who are MPs now, and look, if I listen to their story, I'm not really enthused about that thing at all, like to run for parliament.
You're not, eh?
When I look at them, and then I speak to them, I know the sort of challenges they are going through.
It's obvious that if they get the nod.
No, they are MPs now.
Oh, they are already?
Yeah. But it's really challenging. Really. I know some of them before they went, how they were. And now when they are in there. They were better off when they were not in office.
So for some of them,
some of them,
a minority, there's the reverse effect.
You have to get close to them. Some of them is look. I traveled around.
But what is the situation? Is it that their businesses have crumbled, or is it that?
So then, for example, you need to spend in the least 30,000 cedis.
I get where you're going.
A week.
I get it now.
On the constituency. Now, if this guy who has no.
Wait, did you say 30,000 cedis?
Yes.
A week?
Yeah, a week.
On a constituency?
Yeah. In a Berest. 30,000.
I mean, I know they spend money, but 30,000?
Yeah. This person will call. Look, and this is it. Honorable, my rent is due. Blah. Okay. Akrano Yarino. Okay. I'm
outdooring my baby. One came on this show and told me that someone sent him, a message that he was putting up a facility and he wanted some money to lay the foundation.
Charlie, I look. And this is not like someone said, I'm with the person, and when the call comes, I listening. And it's, this thing, that time you sent me this, can you? It's not easy. And so sometimes I'm like, why did you go? Because I knew you when you were your own guy. You had your own money. And so sometimes outside, they might think, there's something there. But when you get in there, you realize that no, it's not like you expected. But I also think that probably when you spend some years in that place, you know your ways and out. That's when you start to. But it's not easy for all of them when they're.
Some too would say it's about access. So if you are those who are members of parliament, but also are members of the executive. I think that's where the secret lies.
But anyway, you have to be an MP. But I think that we need to tweak our law really.
You know what? These members of parliament, they will never stop well, let me choose my words carefully. These people in power, let me not say members of parliament, but these people who wield power, especially those who have ties to the executive, they will never stop ravaging, raping our country. You know why? I say it reminds me of that advert. You remember? I mean, they are sholaying. When they are shola, they will shola today. In fact, they were sholaying yesterday. They will shola today. They will shola tomorrow. They will suck the blood out of us unless we change the framework to prevent them from doing that. Until we do that, they will take advantage of it and milk us dry. They will. Ojo, let's get into the papers. The Finder newspaper, the Daily Graphic are what I have. What do you have? We can
I have the Daily Guide, I have the Ghanaian Times, and the Daily Analyst.
All right, which one are you starting with? Let's make tracks and work within the next.
Let me start with the Daily Guide. It says AG appeals restarting Opuni trial. Okay, I'll get into the details. Takwa Gold robbers arrested. Mahama promises NDC agent tea biscuits. Okay, so let me get into the AG on that particular one. And the Attorney General, Godfrey Yeboah-Dame, has filed an appeal against the decision of an Accra High Court to restart the trial of former Chief Executive Officer of Ghana Cocoa Board, Dr. Stephen Opuni and Seydou Agongo, all over again, arguing that the decision violates the principles of fair trial. Mr. Dame, in a notice of appeal filed at the Court of Appeal, argues that the trial judge, Justice Kwesi Anochi Jima, misdirected himself in the application of the principles regarding the adoption of evidence in a trial. Dr. Opuni and a private businessman, Seydou Agongo, are accused of causing over 217 million Ghana cedi financial loss to the state and have been on trial at an Accra High Court since March 2018, charged with 27 offences. The prosecution, led by the Director of Public Prosecutions, Yvonne Atakra Obuabisa, called 7 witnesses to prove the charges against the accused persons, who were extensively cross-examined by defense lawyers, some spanning about 6 months. The prosecution closed its case on March 30, 2021, and Dr. Opuni has since opened his defense and called 7 out of the 11 witnesses he intended to rely on to prove his innocence. But the case had to be reassigned to another judge following the retirement of Justice Wanyoniga and the expiration of the 6-month extension granted him by the Chief Justice in accordance with the 1992 Constitution. Ben, I'm sure you follow this particular case. Now, the Attorney General says the judge who has been handed the case cannot say that they have to start the case all over again, because the judge said the sequences, because he had traveled from one judge to him.
Yeah, Justice Wanyoniga.
He has to listen to the oral evidence given by the witnesses, and without that opportunity, he thinks that it's fair that the case starts all over again. But the AG says no, we cannot do that. That is against the principles of fair trial. So that is what the AG is saying. I think a lot of people predicted that this will be the case, that the AG will appeal this case. Whether or not the appeal will be upheld is also one thing that we need to look forward to.
Anyway, can we check out some other stories?
Yes, let me check the Takwa robbers arrested. That will also be an interesting story. Now, it says the Western Regional Police Command has arrested 3 armed men who attacked KK Gold, a gold buying agency in Takwa in the region, and robbed them of gold and money. The 3 suspects were among 6 armed robbers who attacked the gold buying company at Akun near Takwa on Tuesday, April 18, 2023, between 6:30 p.m. and 7 p.m. The names of the suspects were given as Samuel Amesh, 47, a Togolese, Ezekiel Stephen, 45, a Nigerian, and Fatau Dauda, 42, a Ghanaian. Information gathered indicates that the robbers, who were wearing helmet and face masks, entered the agency and subjected the workers to severe beatings at gunpoint. Now, we're told that they collected an unspecified amount and gold of about 108.50 grams, valued at 613,000 cedis, and sped off. That's a lot of money. 6.13 billion old cedis. That's how much they made. Yeah. Well, but fortunately, they have been, arrested, and that's a good thing there. And it happened in Akon. Akon reminds me. I was there some time ago when I was going to do that story in Pristia, Asankragwa.
Yeah.
And the thing is that if every community miner was doing what I saw there, it would have been brilliant. But that's also another discussion for another day. Yeah, I think these are...
The entertainment page usually has the middle spread. And of course, we must seize the advantage to wish our brothers and sisters, our Muslim brothers and sisters, a happy Eid Mubarak in advance, because we'll not be here
on Saturday.
Yeah, we'll not. And Monday, of course.
Monday, why? You have to come to work.
Come, I shall.
So when you will be
but
here.
It's not, others will not be going.
I don't want to take
I
don't want to take yourself out of the fact that you can come to work. You will be here, whether you like it or not.
For holidays, we barely have any holidays where we don't come to work. So it's not part of our vocabulary.
So Eid Mubarak to our friends in advance.
In advance.
A friend has already invited me to come and satisfy myself tomorrow. So I won't joke with it.
This is an interesting story. The Obrafo one.
Manchester thinks Obrafo over $10 million Drake lawsuit. Now, Manchester Ayikwe, the man whose voice called the phrase "killer card blood" on Obrafo's Oyo Hene remix hit song, is claiming ownership of the chant against Obrafo's decision to sue Canadian rapper Drake for sampling the voice for his "Calling My Name" track of his 2022 Honestly Nevermind album. Obrafo accused Drake of sampling his song without his permission. He is suing Drake in a New York court for $10 million, indicating Drake infringed on his copyright when he sampled his song without permission. Now, the Oyo Hene remix is a 2003 classic of Obrafo's Ntetepa album. The part of the song sampled by Drake was sung by Manchester Ayikwe as an opener to the track. Now, in a series of tweets directed at Drake, Manchester suggested he is the sole owner of the phrase "Killer Card Blood" on Obrafo's Oyo Hene remix.
Really?
But how does that...
Killer Card Blood,
how does that play out?
Wait. It's my track.
It's my track.
It's my song.
And I created a part for you like a feature. How does that become your you are a law student, so you can help me out.
I mean, it's a complicated mess. It depends on what the arrangements were as well. We do not know those. But tentatively, it is Obrafo's track. It is his song.
Yes.
But then again, song ownership of rights to songs can be complicated. I hear, was it Michael Jackson, or was it the Beatles or something? There was something that was done and he bought rights to everything they had produced. And so now royalties were coming to him. It can be a complicated mess if you look at some of the sagas with Sony and the rest. So I wouldn't want to hazard anything here, but I would just say that it is indeed a curious development. It's like Sarkodie, you know, his earlier tracks, there used to be this guy who would say a few things. It just gets out of my head for now, but he would say a few things like when a song is starting, there were these lines that they used to say. There was this person who used to say that. I think it was Hammer, related to Hammer.
I think it's the same person who was voicing those ones.
So if a case were to crop up and Sarkodie was saying that, for example, someone had breached his rights or used his song without his knowledge or something of the sort, would this guy come again and say, I don't know. I don't know.
So I don't know
what the real dynamics are.
Hammer, you know, like those,
yeah, but there used to be some that were related.
I think it's the same voice.
Could be the same person.
It could be, because around that time when they were doing the Killer Card, the same voice was voicing some of the things at the beginning of their tracks. I remember that album. It was the last two compilation where they had Edem Aigbe.
There was one. I think it says you're gonna need 2 ears for this. Something. There was someone who was. I don't know the person. I don't know whether it's this Nikwe person. But I just find it interesting. In any case, I am excited by this development. You know why? I want to see how, there is local law and international law. I want to see how this plays out in that court in the United States in terms of this development. And of course, if Obrafo is able to cash in, you see, you sent an email, there was no response. You sent another email, there was still no response. I think I've seen something similar with Diddy. P. Diddy, now just Diddy also. Something to do with, I've forgotten the name, I don't know whether it's Sting or one of those. I think he pays him per day $5,000.
Yeah, I think that's the...
Multiplied by 365.
It's even recent,
Do you get it?
A lot of money.
He pays him $5,000 a day.
That's a lot of money.
So it's not.
But Manche, couldn't he have rather gone to see Obrafour, the lawyer, and tell him, look, you know I have a hand in this. So whatever happens to the deal, if you get it, I have a percentage. So that you don't embroil yourself in all of this controversy for Drake to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Couldn't it have been done?
Because now it's a divided front.
Exactly.
This one is claiming ownership.
So
that one is claiming.
If I were the lawyer for Drake, I'll just go to court and say, okay.
But no. But in any case, it's not that simple. Obrafour has taken the initial step. He is in court. He is dealing with that matter. Maybe post whatever happens.
If he gets a smart lawyer,
maybe
he can bring that up.
This Manche guy, and I hear if it were Hammer Track, then it would be Manche who had done all of those, bits on. Then maybe they can also deal with it.
But I find it curious that initially he should have done the back door. Okay, my lawyer, go and sit down with them. If he disagrees, then you.
But we don't know for certain whether that happened
or not.
Someone was brushed aside.
Charlie, just that anyway. I'm sad that we may be losing the 10 million. When I saw it, I was like, this is good.
Listen, in such cases, you would usually, in fact, sometimes they would inflate the figures and claims and all of that. But Charlie, even if you get
$1 million or $2 million, you're bad cry. That's 20 million Ghana cedis.
I nearly said good morning to a certain politician, and I decided not to say good morning again.
I say good morning to him or her. You're bad, sir.
Now that we are mentioning dollars, an amount comes to mind, but I will not say it. Anyway, please, relax.
Also, me visa question, Keko. Say car moves then we're different.
Patch your meaning. The Daily Graphic this morning, you are not. Petroleum rakes in 1.43 billion in 2022, and that is dollars, higher since production in 2010. That story is on page 16. Energy Minister leads ECG to retrieve debt. That's on page 20. Constituency Watch. I love this bit that the Daily Graphic has been doing. Second D constituency, city with unique landmarks. You should check that out on pages 24 and 25 of the newspaper. And then JHS students dazzle president. So I'll just look at these very briefly. This is the most unusual afternoon for me. A lot of people come here, but I don't think any of them has ever done what I have seen. I can only say I'm astonished and delighted at what is taking place here. I want to congratulate you. You have come and illuminated my day today. Those were the words of President Akufo-Addo when students of the Wadara Junior High School in Kumasi presented an electronic road safety device they had assembled to him at the Jubilee House yesterday. A 6-member all-female team of the school developed the device known as Illuminated Child Safety Device, which is why the president played on words about illumination, which is intended to boost efforts to reduce accidents involving pedestrians. In recent times, we've been talking about faulty traffic lights and all of that. So this is an interesting development by the Wadara Junior High School. And this is how it starts. STEM. We're promoting STEM, right? This is how it starts. I'll just wrap on page 16.
To support them.
Exactly. And our young ones have been doing well, especially the girls' schools and robotics across the world. So they just need that push. I'll wrap with this one. The government received the highest petroleum revenue for a single year in 2022 since the start of petroleum production in the country in 2010. Data from the 2022 annual report of the Public Interest and Accountability Committee showed that petroleum receipts for 2022 amounted to 1.43 billion, representing an increase of 42% over the dollars over the projected revenue for the year, and 82.38% higher than the receipts for 2021 of 783.33 million. Interesting development. But of course, there is a reason for that as well. Kojo, what happened in 2022? Russia,
Ukraine
attacked.
Oh no,
Ukraine.
This money was here. What did we use it for?
No. So the bit is, while we were paying through the nose to get fuel products, which also hiked prices, once we had crossed the $100 bit, we were also making the gains from there. So it's a win-lose situation. But in this instance,
interesting.
It was a win.
Okay.
I guess
but again, you're asking that we got that money, and you are saying
how do we balance it?
Yeah, you are saying that as
for the balancing, it will not balance.
Anyway, now there's a story in the Ghanaian Times that I think is interesting. Ghana discovers first herbal drug awaits clinical trial for approval. Now, Ghana is near the end of approving a herbal product to support the treatment of COVID-19. Out of a total of 11 products being researched into by the Center for Plant Medicine Research at Mampon in the Eastern region for a possible treatment of the disease, quote, immunim, hitherto an immune booster drug, has proven to have at least 90% efficacy against the SARS-CoV-2 virus. Pending the completion of preclinical and clinical trials, the herbal product is tipped to be Ghana's first herbal drug to treat COVID-19. Wow, this will be interesting. Very, very interesting. And will be a step in the right direction if we're able to have our own product as cure for COVID-19. So thumbs up to them, and we are waiting for that announcement that the preclinical trials and clinical trials have been completed, and then they really can prove that this particular herbal product can fight against COVID-19. It will be such a feat that we will all need to celebrate.
Well, Kojo, we have to go, but let's do this. The final newspaper, I thought this would interest you. Fathers sleeping with daughters in Western region.
Hey!
It's on page 5 of the Finder newspaper.
Which part of the Western region, please?
Well, I'm getting into it. Members of the Essential Service Package Committee of the Western Regional Coordinating Council have expressed concern about the increasing rate at which some fathers were sleeping with their daughters in the region. Western Regional Director of the Department of Children, Mrs. Faustina Awotwe, noted how such fathers to child sexual abuses was giving birth to many young prostitutes in communities. Our engagement with children in prostitution have revealed children who have already been exposed to these abuses prefer to engage in the act outside their homes because, of course, they think, if I'm going to be taken advantage of by a family member, then I might as well make something out of it. And other issues of concern raised by members of the committee included by lack of proper detailing by doctors who examine such victims of abuse, the game of cover-ups by families. And that aside, girls as young as between 9 and 10 years were said to have fallen victim to sexual abuse with either a grandfather, can you imagine that? A stepfather, and that is rampant, the stepfather bit. It is. Because I think some of these people think it's not my biological daughter. Or an uncle, which is also common. Shooting incest cases among families in the region. I think this is a serious, very serious.
So one thing has come up. There's this community where I've been getting some report from, and I'm doing some work. I'm not done. I won't mention the name, but like this, there's a guy who works in the hospital there who called me that they are getting too many cases of defilement. 5-year-old, 6-year-old. And most of it, like
cases of babies, 3 months, 6 months.
Most of it, the family members are covering up. So then it becomes difficult for you to even proceed further. But what is about these children that would make you have the desire to sleep with them? What is it?
You know, COVID exposed part of this. We have to go, but COVID, especially when people were together, forced to stay at home.
Not kids as that
so many
young.
things happened.
Babies. I mean, I hear the name and I'm looking at my own children.
But you know, how do you see a 9 to 10-year-old that you should be protecting and you pounce on that child?
I mean, how?
Anyway, so if you're watching this morning and you are mired in that act, I would advise that you repent because
this defilement.
This is serious. It's very distasteful. Anyway, so as we move to Prime Take, I just want to wrap by acknowledging Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. They ensure that every morning we're able to bring you the news review. They're offering free prostate screening, free female fertility screening as well. You can locate them here in Accra at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi Kronoma Buehia behind the Angel Educational Complex. They are in Techiman Hanswa. You can locate them in Takrade Anaji Estate. They are also at Tema Community 22 and Esiama Enzema. Their call lines are 0244-867-068 or 0274-234-321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, they are bringing us to the end of the news review. But up next, we've got Prime Take today, and our guest is two-time world champion Joseph King Kong Akakpo, who says he wants to be addressed now as Togbi Kaleto II. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, you know, there's a friend called Active. He's the one behind something called Secunde TV. You should have let me talk about Secunde. He does some very fantastic. If you want to know more about Secunde in the Daily Graphic,
we should plan something.
Yeah,
plan something.
Yeah, you go into that boy's Facebook page, Secunde TV, and then see a lot of things by Secunde.
Prime Take is up next, and right after that, we'll serve you my blunt thoughts for today.
Thank you. Why are you called King Kong? Where did you get that name from?
King Kong is my real name.
Okay.
Yeah, King Kong is the name that actually introduced me into boxing. That's why I always say that I did not choose boxing. Boxing chose me. My dad gave me a name by birth, King Kong. So during my school days, my friends are always scared of me. Even at home, my colleagues, they are all scared of me because then we had watched the movie King Kong.
Oh, okay.
You know, so whenever anything happened between myself and any of my friends and we have to fight, they feel like I'm that King Kong. And some of them that I know I can't beat them, but they become very soft for me and they make it easy for me to beat them. So I was beating everybody. So that made me to divert everything into boxing.
Then this one appears to be kind of a nickname that was given to you early at birth.
No, it was never a nickname. That was my name. You know, they say good name is better than riches. You know, so whenever you're naming your child, you have to be watchful of what name you give to your child, because definitely the name will play a role in his or her life.
Where did you grow up?
I was born in Sukura. And
you're a Sukura boy?
Yeah, Sukura boy. I'm a Zongo boy. So
do you speak Hausa?
Most people think I speak Hausa, but
you formatted it?
Yeah, but when you speak, I understand most of them.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not good with language, you know. So I started from Sukura. And then I spent most of my life in Accra Central, BC, to be precise. So that's where I would say, that's where I grew up. And then after some time, I moved to Dakuma. So I've been a Zongo boy around Zongo to BC and then to Dakuma. So I'm a tough boy.
So you've been around Blacksmith, Tank House line.
Yeah, that's Sukura area.
Latebia
Koshi, Zamamalai, all those areas.
Oh, you're a proper Zongo boy.
Yeah.
So how was life like growing up?
I would say that I came from a family, a small family, a very traditional one. And when I developed the love to become a boxer, I used to play football with my friends.
Okay.
And I even joined a team and I wanted to play football.
Are you a disappointed footballer?
Oh, yeah. I have this passion of becoming great.
Okay.
You know, and when I look at football, I realize that football has a lot of people on the field.
Okay.
And one man's mistake could result to the failure of all the team. So the failure of the team. So I realized that, okay, no, boxing is an individual job. I even wanted to be a goalkeeper because you'll be the only one to be at the goalpost, so everyone can shine on their own, but yours is for just you, you know. But looking at my body structure and everything, I said, no, I can't. And then because of how my friends are always scared of me and I keep on beating everybody, so I said, okay. Then I've been watching my godfather, Zuzum Nelson. I've been watching him all the time, staying up late to watch him all the time. So I said, okay, I think this is where I belong. Let me go into boxing. And I started boxing and everything started going well for me.
Were you kind of a street fighter? Because we're punching everyone left, right, and center.
In my neighborhood in Sukura, whenever any new boy comes around, we have to test him. You know, so you have to fight a couple of people until you get to my my side. Okay. You know, so something like that. But I'm not like the violent type that is always like always fighting on the street. No, it's a neighborhood thing. But from the minute I started boxing, all those things went off. I grew up with a man called B.C. Tyson. He is one of the promising boxer out of Ghana. He was the lightweight champion for Africa, Commonwealth, to the West stage. He was like one of the greatest, and he was the one that had me like a senior brother or a father to me, and I learned a lot of things from him because he used to be a violent guy when he was growing up, before he got into boxing. And when I was staying with him, whenever we are at a place in the Bukum Sarah area, and then there was any violence going around anywhere, he would just hold me, let's move. He takes me away. So I have been a violent-free person.
Violent-free, but did you spend some time in Bukum?
Yeah, Bukum and Bese is like almost
the same area,
but we have names, but it's all
just the same line.
Yeah, it's all Gamashi. Yeah, but because I actually grew up inside Bese, so I like to mention Bese.
And not Bukum.
No, because I came from Bese.
Yeah, so the
I
people
stayed
will be
inside
proud
Bese.
They'll be proud that they produced a world champion.
I actually before I continue, right, I just want to take this opportunity to say a big thank you to the Bese Manche, Nia Ibonte. He was my first ever boxing manager.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he saw a talent.
Was he combining football and
yeah,
boxing?
He was the Accra Suffolk manager and to their CEO and everything at that time. Yeah. And I'm from there. He's one person that he liked to help everyone from the
I knew him as
everyone from the community. He used to help everyone from the. So when he saw me and he realized I'm from his place and I'm doing well, he gave me a hand and he said, let's go. He took me like a son and he gave me that push, you know. So I would say he contributed massively to making of Joseph King Agbeko. He made me, and I would like to say a big thank you to Mr. Mitch Williams, Awono of Aborigine Promotion. He is my last boxing promoter manager that I worked with. And he took me like a son, made sure I'm protected and everything goes well for me. So those two people meant a lot to me.
Thank you. Let me say thank you to them on your behalf for building you up to write your name in the history books of Ghanaian boxing. But tell me, how would you describe your boxing career?
My boxing career, like a roller coaster. It has been up and down, up and down. I was a very young prospect, someone that everybody saw great prospect in me, but at some point of time, things get locked at some time, open at another time, and even before I became a champion, it was even overdue, like to the time for me to become a champion. People thought I could have become a champion before then, and things were very bad, and people gave up in me. You know, they gave up on me, and then the chance came, and I had to be a substitute for Luis Alberto Perez. Luis Alberto Perez was going to defend his IBF bantamweight title against another boxer, and the boxer pulled out, and he was the most dangerous bantamweight at that time, and the most biggest puncher at that division during that time. And I got a call for about 3 weeks before the fight, and I took it, and I knew it was for me, and I went and grabbed it. So it has been a roller coaster. It has been
that was a big risk, because within 3 weeks you were able to get yourself ready for that fight.
Yeah, I believe that this is one thing I always tell the younger fighters coming up. You always have to get ready. Like when you're always ready, you don't have to get ready. You know, once you're always ready, you don't have to get ready. I moved to the US, had one fight, and I wanted to come back home for some holiday and then go back, and my managers didn't want me to go. They wanted me to stay because they were preparing some fights for me, and they believe if I win that fight, I may be maybe 3 or 4 fights, closer to the championship.
To a world title.
And I told them, no, I have to go see my kids. I've missed them, and if God said I'm going to be a champion, I will be. If not, I wouldn't be. So I want to go home. So they allowed me. I went home, and luckily for me, God has always been on my side. I had a problem. That's, you know, boxing is a very tough sport, you know. Preparing for a fight, going in for a fight, it's a very, very, very tough sport. So whenever a boxer finish a fight, they want to eat everything with their both hands. When it comes to food, because you've starved yourself for so long, you want to enjoy with both hands. When it comes to the fun part of life, in terms of the women and all drinks and all other things, they want to, and because you have to stay away from all those things before you can make it. So after my fight, I was supposed to, enjoy myself, you know. But I had a little problem with myself, which couldn't allow me to go closer to those enjoyments, you know. So when I got the call, I knew it was for me. I just told my manager, I'm coming for it.
What was the problem?
Come again?
What was the problem?
It's something that I cannot say. But it actually pushed.
It's what I'm thinking.
No, you can't have an idea of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's something that actually put me away from getting close to a woman or having anything to do with, a woman.
So that was a blessing in disguise, isn't it?
Yeah. That's why I said God loves me and He has always been on my side.
But God didn't love the other side, no?
You know, they said many are calling, few are choosing. Yeah. On that day, that was the fight was scheduled for was for me. So God has to be on my side, not His side. So when I got the call, I said, okay, it's for me, I'm going for it. So when I went there, they knew it was just a short notice, which they believe they're going to take advantage over me. I went in there, we went for our press conference, we did a face-off. My opponent looked tough. I took off his glasses and I told him, hey, this one is not for you, I'm taking it away from you. The confidence was very, very high. And I went in and I took it.
You don't even look like a boxer. So this skinny boy, you're coming to fight me.
Yes, we give our glory to God.
What would you say has been your most challenging moment as a boxer?
The most challenging moment. I would say there was a time when I was going to fight Guillermo Rigondeaux. Yeah. I was moving up in weight to super bantamweight to fight Rigondeaux. And Rigondeaux was one boxer that everybody
was kind of afraid of. Okay.
Yeah. He beat Nonito Doné. Nonito Doné is obviously the toughest fighter at the division then. And he beat Nonito Doné. And when Nonito Doné could have asked for a rematch, he wasn't asking for it. Rigo was ready, willing to give Nonito a rematch. And Nonito didn't want it. And any other boxer at the division doesn't want it. And I was a bantamweight. And I watched him and I said, no, I can do this. Let me take it. So I took the fight. Then I had gone through some issues back and forth, and I had just signed on to a new promotional outfit that is Top Rank. So going in with Rigo was promoted by Top Rank because Rigo was working with Top Rank. And Rigo is the most skillful boxer of that time. Yeah. Rigo is compared between Floyd Mayweather. When it comes to skill, when it comes to defense, some say he's number one. Others also say Floyd is number one. So he was like on his peak, the highest.
He was a beast.
Yeah. And his fighting Rigo is like a high risk with low reward. Because high risk with low reward.
How?
Because Rigo is not an exciting boxer. People doesn't like Rigo because he's very defensive. People doesn't like Floyd. The boxing, they don't like Floyd. They don't like defensive boxers. They want you to come and punch. Let's punch. Kill yourself. Let them laugh. Let them enjoy so you can make your money. They don't want you to be defensive. You know, and Rigo is very, very defensive. So it doesn't allow punch to touch him. So people doesn't pay to watch him. So when you're fighting Rigo, there's no good money on board, you know, and he is the most dangerous one. So you're fighting the most dangerous boxer with less reward. You know, I took the fight because I wanted to give it, or I wanted to prove a point. You know, and I had just stopped working with Don King, signing on to Top Rank. And then 2 weeks before the fight, I got a letter that I have to pay Don King 50% of my purse for that fight. And even the fight, you know, I'm a fighter that I love boxing. I was born to be a fighter. So I go into the ring with a passion, not because of money. We need money to take care of ourselves.
Not because of money?
No.
You just go the person want to beat you up and you don't want money.
You know, it is worth fulfilling the purpose of your existence in this life rather than becoming rich. Money is very, very important, but we all have purpose in this life. When you are doing a job that you are passionate for, you don't feel like you are working. I'm the type that whenever my manager tells me you have a fight, I become so happy. Not happy only because I'm going to get money. Definitely money will come. Money comes with the hard work, with everything, you know, definitely money will come. But I become so happy because God is giving me another chance to shine, to bring out what He has put it into me. So I am always happy about that. So I wasn't going into the fight with Rigo just because of the money. I love the money, but not just because of the money, but because I want to prove to the boxing world that if nobody can beat this guy, I can beat him. And then 2 weeks, you are telling me that the small pairs that I'll be getting, 50% will be going to Don King. And you know, if 50% is going to Don King, that means if you are paying your managers, you are paying your cartman, you are paying your trainers and everyone involved, that you have to pay them, they have to take check from you. Everyone is going to take the check from you from the top, from the 100. They are not going to take their check from you from the 50. You know, so you can imagine how much I'll be earning as the one who put his life on the line. You know, so it took a lot out of me. I wanted to pull out of the fight because I felt like even though I want to fight, I want to prove a point, the risk it wasn't worth it, you know, so I wanted to pull out. But the most challenging part was before then I was supposed to have a fight with Abner Mares. Yeah, I think Abner Mares earlier.
Abner Mares again. You fought Abner Mares in 2013.
Yeah, after our first fight. Okay. I think the second fight, we were supposed to fight, and then I had a long flight from. I had a long wait at the airport, and then I had a long flight from New York to California. So when I got to California, on our way to our hotel, I had a muzzle pull. They said it was sciatic nerve, so I couldn't fight, and that was a showtime fight, and I couldn't. The doctors declared me unfit for the fight, so our fight got cancelled. It was a big blow to Showtime because they've promoted the fight, they've spent a lot of money on the fight, which I couldn't make it. So this fight with Top Rank was for HBO. And boxing in the US belongs to HBO or Showtime. So if you had once disappointed Showtime, and then this is HBO, and you pull out of HBO's fight, that means your career will be dead, because none of them is going to give you, and they are the people that gives the most money, you know. So you kill your career. So I have to psych myself, just push myself hard just to go in for it, you know. So I went into that fight with my spirit not inside me, and it was a very tough.
Why did Don King bring you the letter to give him 50% of your money?
Boxing has never been fair to Joseph King Akakpo.
But it chose you, so it's supposed to be fair to you.
God knows how he arranges things, you know. God, you can never ever understand God's plan. I've had like 99% of my career working with Don King, and we've gone through a lot of challenges. I was in court with Duncan for over 2 years, and I have to be inactive for all that 2 years. It took away a lot from me. I have to keep on paying lawyers all the time. Every minute I get a call, I have to come to court. I have to fly from here, go to the US, go to court. After another time, I have to come back. So it was up and down for some time. So it got to a time after 2 years, and I wanted the court to free me. Then I can sign on to another promoter while the case is still pending, you know. And Duncan's lawyer called my lawyers, and they wanted to settle, which was good. So I spoke with my manager, then Tomora, so that we can just take whatever offer he puts on board, so we can allow the case to go, so I can move on with my career. But my manager then believed so much that we are going to win the case, and we're going to make a lot of money from Duncan, which I know Duncan very, very well. Duncan is like somebody that when you try to scare him, even though he is scared, he's going to try to show you that he's like a lion, you know. So you don't.
And he will fight back.
Yeah, you don't try. You don't scare him, you know. So my manager was a little tough. So when we went in for that injunction, the court didn't allow us, grant it for me to be free while the case is still pending. And then they said he's my promoter, so he should continue promoting me while we're still in court. So 1 minute we will get a call from Duncan. I have a fight in Nicaragua. I have a fight in some places that they just want to take me there like a cow and just chop me off, you know. So I have to, reject all those fights. So I was inactive for a long time. So one day I went to Duncan's office in Florida, and I have to bring out the beast in me so that he can give me my release. So he gave me the release then. That was when I got a chance to sign on to Top Rank. And then, you know, he's the master of the game. So he came out with some other stuff, and they demanded 50% from my purse. And the most surprising thing is that boxing is a very, very mafia business. You know, the most surprising part is that I had just signed on to a new manager as well, Frank Espinoza, and a new promoter, Top Rank. And the fight was happening in Atlantic City, in New Jersey. And in New Jersey, Donkey already have crime issues in New Jersey because he one time bribed a casino guard, and I think that has been on his record. So Donkey cannot make money in Atlantic City.
I see.
Because of that, he can't make money in Atlantic City, and we're fighting in Atlantic City. So how can the man make money off me in Atlantic City? You know, one thing that I have lacked in my career has to do with team. You know,
the team around you has never served you well?
I've never had a team. I've never had a team. I have had trainers, I've had managers, I've had some agent and stuff, but everybody was on their own. Everybody was there for the check. You know, none of them were there for me. Nobody was there for Joseph Akakpo. Nobody was there to put, were there for me. Everybody was there for
what goes into the pocket.
Into the pocket. So I had no power. I had nothing to do. And I have to go in there, fight so Donkey can make his money.
But let me just something very clear here. You've spoken about going to court with Duncan. You've spoken about the letter demanding 50% of your money. Was it after you signed for Top Rank that he brought a letter?
Yeah, after I signed with Top Rank.
But he gave you a release letter.
He gave me a release letter.
How come he came demanding for 50% after giving you a release letter?
He came with other issues regarding our court and loss of money, some other stuff. I had managers and lawyers involved, promoters who I'm working with. All of them are involved, and everyone gave the go-ahead.
Did you fight?
For
Top Rank, and then paid Duncan his 50%?
Yeah, I fought and I gave it to him.
You gave him his 50%. What was the reason for Duncan taking you to court?
I took him to court.
You took him to court?
Yeah.
What for?
Because Duncan violated the Muhammad Ali Act. The Muhammad Ali Act is whenever a boxer fighting for a championship, especially when you are the main event.
Yeah.
I've been the main event throughout every fight that I've fought with Duncan. I've been the main event. I think the first one that I fought for the championship, I was the co-main event, but after that, I've been the main event throughout. So whenever you are the main event and you are going into a fight, the promoter has to serve you with the Muhammad Ali Disclosure Act.
Okay.
They have to disclose to you every money that is going into the fight. The money coming from TV, the money coming from sponsorship, the ticket, everything they have to disclose to you before negotiation for your purse. You know, then you will know how to negotiate on your purse. And Duncan never did that with me. You know, he never did that with me. And so I have to take him to court so that he can bring all those things out, then we can properly negotiate on those things and know what I'm getting, what I was supposed to get from here, so I can get everything that he has stolen from me. At what point did you realize that he was not revealing those details to you? After I signed on with Tom Mora, the new manager, the manager knows him a lot. He has worked with him, with some other boxers. He has been to court with Duncan severally and he has won all the cases. And he knows all the tricks Duncan used for fighters. You know, he knows all the tricks. And the trick that Duncan uses for Boxer A is the trick that he uses for every fighter. And every trick goes through easily for him with every fighter because he puts you in a situation like, you know, like the mouse or mice, I don't know. When they are biting you, they still put some air there. And, you know, he has some trick that he uses for every fighter. He has used it for Mike Tyson. He has used it for every fighter that he has ever worked with. And he has gone through, it kept working well for him. So when I met Tomura revealed everything to me. And that has been the same thing. And a lot of fighters were having... But was it indeed true that he was not revealing all those details to you? So because what he did to other boxers does not necessarily mean that he was doing the same thing to you. Okay. There were other fighters who were having issues with him about the same. But did you at a point realize that indeed he was cheating you? Did you ever discover that? Yeah. So he cheated you? Donkey cheated me a lot. He cheated every fighter that he has worked with. Like how much? Can you approximate that? Because we didn't get to the point that he has to disclose everything for the courts and myself to see whatever he was taking away from me. So I wouldn't know, but he did cheat me like how he did to every fighter. But your decision to take him to court, do you think it served you well? Because you said for 2 years you were not fighting. Did it serve you well? Did it serve your interest? I had no regrets taking him to court. I think I went into fight for what belongs to me, and the fight didn't win. Duncan is a superman in the sport. He has the power to manipulate the lawyers and so on, and things couldn't work, and no regrets. You didn't win the court case? We didn't finish. I have to just withdraw the case. You would do the case? Yeah. After spending loads of money? Yeah. How much did you spend fighting that case? Because I realized that I was just spending and nothing was coming. So how much did you spend? I wasn't fighting as well. How much did you spend? I wouldn't. I don't want to go there. Like $1 million? I don't want to go there. $1 million? I don't want to go there. It's gone. No, but it's gone. But this is just a conversation we are having. Because people will tell you that sometimes these legal issues, they're quite expensive. Because to even be fighting someone like Duncan in the US is huge. Yeah. So for you to have mastered that courage to go all out, show that, yeah, you had money to fight, but your money was not good enough. No. Yeah. It wasn't. But did you make money fighting under Duncan? Did you make money? Did you make money fighting for Duncan? Let me put it this way. I would say I did not live on boxing. boxing lived in me. I did not live on boxing.
Did you make money fighting for Don King?
I said I did not live on boxing. Boxing lived in me.
That's not the answer to the question. The question is, did you make money fighting for Don King?
Yeah, of course. After every fight, I get my pay. I get my check.
Like, what was the minimum check that you got?
I can't disclose.
Welcome back on the AM show, and at this juncture, I share with you my blunt thoughts for the morning. I've titled it Of Galamsey Gimmicks, A Family and Friends Government, and Human Rights Abuse. Ghana on the radar. And of course, we're on the radar for all the wrong reasons. This morning, Ghana 4, I'm going straight to it, and I want to start off my blunt thoughts on a singing note. I will not sing, but I'm going to give you the lyrics to a certain song. It dates all the way back to the year 1976, and it was performed by Bob Marley and the Wailers. The title of the track, Who the Cap Fit. Let's do this. Just walk with me. If you know the song, pay attention to the wording. Man to man is so unjust. Children, you don't know whom to trust. Your worst enemy could be your best friend, and your best friend your worst enemy. Some will eat and drink with you, then behind them, sus upon you. Only your friend knows your secrets, so only he could reveal it. And who the cap fit, let them wear it. In the next stanza, and I'll take a portion of that as well, some will hate you, pretend they love you now, then behind you, they will try to eliminate you. But who job less, no one curse. Thank God we're past the worst. Pay attention. Hypocrites and parasites will come up and take a bite. And if your night should turn to day, a lot of people would run away. And who the cap fit, let them wear it. This morning, Ghana 4, I'm thrusting the lyrics of Robert Nesta Marley in your face. And the reason is simple. Our misleaders here in Ghana are aptly described in manifold ways in the song I just sang. When it talks about hypocrites, people who say one thing, do another thing. So this morning, I'm going to be talking about Galamsey. I'm going to be talking about human rights abuse. I'm going to be talking about deception. Our president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, had a lot to say back in 2016 before he was elected. He said he would never engage in a family and friends government. Today, practically everything in Ghana that is of any consequence has Akufo-Addo or Foriata and other such names written all over it. So Ghana, I just want us to do this. As I go to the slides, last week I was telling you we had to wake up. Is this what we bargained for, really? Is it? From the fight against Galamsey to the scourge of corruption, to everything else that we've seen in our economy. Is this what was promised? The slides will do the talking. All of them, all 10 of them, and I'll rest my case. Now, when you look at the latest development, because I did say I was going to start off with Galamsey, Professor Frimpong Boateng, former minister. And by the way, there's, I believe, I don't want to mention the name of the paper, I could get it wrong, but I remember its headline from back then, that he had been sacked for soiling the image of the government and of the Jubilee House. But in recent times, this is what he's had to say. And in that latest 36, 37-page document, we get an even broader feel of what his allegations are. Sent to the Chief of Staff with no action till today. Let me tell you that I did not take one excavator for anything. They know the truth. Now things are coming up. We know those who are behind it and the party people who are there, people in government, including the Jubilee House, who are doing Galamsey and so on, even now. You can go as far back as 2021, or you can come to today. After all, how many months ago was it that Akonta Mining was pointed to? Spearheaded, owned by the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the MPP. Now, we take some more from Prof. On the back of that, Mr. President tasked the police to investigate the allegations by the former Minister of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation regarding or in respect of the seat of government's involvement in illegal mining, where he himself sits, Mr. President. Let's go to the next slide. Again, Prof says, I can state without any equivocation. Now, he was minister. He supervised all of this. He says, I can state without any equivocation that many party officials from the national to the unit committee level had their friends, personal assistants, agents, relatives, financiers, or relatives engaged in illegal mining. Most of them engaged Chinese working for them. A lot of the time, we castigate some of those people we see there. We should look at those who sent those people there. That is what we ought to be looking at. Next slide. And I want you to pay close attention to relatives, agents, personal assistants, because I'll get to that. I'll get to what Mr. President said and what we're seeing now. He accused the former NPP MP in the Ashanti region of selling illegally acquired concessions at 200 Ghana cedis each, 200,000 Ghana cedis each. That's what someone supposedly was benefiting from. And the country, you and I, we are bleeding because someone profited. There are appointees in the Jubilee House that are doing or supporting illegal mining or interfering with the fight against the menace. So some may not be involved in it themselves, but they are shielding other people. And that is the former minister saying that. He was sacked. He gave his report. Until today, nothing has happened. Next slide. He stresses that the allegations of some 500 missing excavators from illegal miners in 2020 were fabrications of persons in the government to get him out of the way. That is what he alleges. We all saw the saga of the excavators and some that flew wings and ended up in certain places, ended back with people from which they had been taken. That's okay. But this is what he alleges. I'm going to tie that Galamsey script to this. And in the end, you will see the marriage between them and why it is such a huge problem. Ellen Amadako is an NPP communications member. In recent times, she was on a different media platform, a sister station, had an interview. And it was interesting because when she was asked about family and friends in government, she had an interesting perspective on the back of the Electoral Commission's appointments, among others. This is what she said. I don't see the need to attack the president because he is working with his family and friends. Were you expecting him to use his enemies? If I were given power, I would most definitely give positions to my family members whom I think can do the job. Let's pause right there. Pay attention to it. If you didn't hear me well, read it again. And yet we claim we're a democracy and we want to model what we do on what other well-established democracies do. But in any case, is this what we were promised? Is this what we were told would happen? Do you remember the instance of Joyce Bawa Mokhtari? She now speaks for the former president and all of that. I say, if I had my way, qualifications, yes. But how about we follow the example of Dr. Yao, in fact, Daniel Yao Domelevo, the former Auditor General. His own son was applying for a position there. Qualified, yes. He said no. He shut it down. Go elsewhere. Because I am here. There could be conflict of interest. And I believed Akufo-Addo, our president, when he said that he would not practice same. I mean, back then we could talk of, well, Joyce Bawa Mokhtari. The linkage to the former president, a bit stretched, but a linkage all the same. A link is a link. A relative is a relative. But come and look at what we are seeing now. Let's go to the next slide. Now, you go back a few years, in fact, specifically to November 18, 2016, and the internet never forgets. Twitter can be savage. The president now, the then candidate Akufo-Addo, posted this And it says, we're coming into office to work for all Ghanaians and not just a few, and certainly not our family and friends. Now let's go back. Remember what the president said. Ellen Amadako says, what do you expect him to work with? His enemies? Of course he will work with his family and friends. But now look at what the president is saying. We are not here to work for any family and friends, for just a few, but we are here to work for all. Certainly not our family and friends. He posted this with this number of likes. You can go and check it out. November 18, 2016. Next slide. There is also this bit. Ghana has been cited for human rights abuses in the U.S. State Department's 2022 report. And you can see there one of the instances, Oliver Barker-Vormawor Mause, and his entire debacle. Next slide. Now, the range of abuse, according to them, arbitrary or unlawful killings, extrajudicial killings, the torture or cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment carried out by the government or on its behalf. And in that final slide, we'll give you a fair idea of what exactly they are pointing to. Of course, they talk about deprivation of life and politically motivated killings, freedom of expression, the same freedom of expression that the president at the SONA was castigating diplomats for, forgetting that when John Benjamin, the former UK High Commissioner, was spewing everything that he did against the former administration, no one did anything to him. But at a SONA, State of the Nation address, he had to bring that up. Freedom of peaceful assembly, violence and harassment, and haven't we seen that many a time on the back of some of the interventions by the police and the military. Censorship, trial procedures, corruption, of course, LGBTQI+. Why have I brought up these three matters? Because we've got to the point where as a country, if we don't start reflecting on what is said and what is delivered, like with the fight against Galamsey, I'll put my presidency on the line. Mr. President, where's your commitment? Have you seen our water bodies recently? Do they give you the reports? Or all of a sudden, your vociferousness has waned. I guess it's always easier when the shoe is on the other foot. It's like that saying, all of us are good judges of others, but good lawyers for ourselves. Interestingly, Mr. President is a lawyer. So you can be a good lawyer for yourself, but those operating in your circle, how are you judging them? Galamsey is destroying our country. And Mr. President, I'm sad to say you are looking on and watching it happen. I am lost for words this morning. It's so disheartening because Galamsey is destroying us and you are not doing anything about it. This latest report is the nail in your coffin. Because guess what? You said, and by the way, I'm not meaning a literal coffin, but maybe your political coffin. You put your presidency on the line. Mr. President, you have failed. And that is the coffin I speak of. You told us there will be no family and friends. You will stick to what you promised us. This exposes you. And finally, you're a human rights lawyer, so to speak. You have fought the cause of many. This is a blot on our national credentials. The time is now, Mr. President, to do something about these issues. Because whether it's Galamsey, whether it's human rights abuse, whether it's not sticking to your word, it's making the electorate become very despondent. And all that, Mr. President, is on you. Just a gentle reminder. My name is Benjamin Akakpo. I'm just a journalist reminding you, Mr. President, to live up to the high hopes you gave Ghanaians in 2016. These are my blunt thoughts shared with you, raw, hot, and edited, and diluted. May God bless Ghanaians and Ghana and make our nation truly great and strong.
For the past 3 years, road crashes and death in Ghana have seen some slight decline in numbers. For instance, in the first quarter of 2021, a total of 4,900 road crashes were recorded, This figure declined slightly to 3,932 in 2022 and now 3,340 in the first quarter of 2023. Resultant deaths from these accidents have also declined from 771 in 2021 to 544 in 2023. The road safety said the success can be attributed to the campaign against road crashes.
The National Road Safety Authority has a collaborative mandate where it collaborates with the various stakeholders in the road safety space. So for the past 3 years, the National Road Safety Authority has been collaborating with the media and other stakeholders in the industry to intensify road safety education. The outreaches to the various stations, to the drivers, to the mates, everybody in the road safety space has been engaged with the support of the media. And we have also been to the mosque. We've had coordinated enforcement with the police service.
Although some may consider this consistent drop in road crashes and death as some level of success, the chairman of the Road Safety Authority, Jermaine Nkrumah, says there should be more to the figures.
Numbers are coming down, but on our roads, people died, and within 3 months, on 544 occasions, some people put on their eyituma, sat down, cried, and had a funeral, missed somebody. There were kids who no longer have fathers or mothers. And so for me, that is what drives me. And I think that's what should drive everybody. Even if the number is down to 1, that is how serious what we do is.
The Road Safety Authority has also revealed that an ally establishing the institution as an authority has also been passed. Although the 4 recommendations of this new ally are yet to be implemented, it is already facing some pushback from transport operators.
We wrote our proposals, rejected some of these areas of the draft regulations where we think its implementation will be hazardous to the unions. And one of them, yes, and one of them we did mention was about charging a union when a driver goes to commit an offense or goes to cause an accident where there are fatalities. For them to leave the driver and go and charge the transport union was nowhere to be found. I don't know, it doesn't tally with common sense. So we saw that it was not proper, and we wrote our own proposals and objected to that part. Equally, there was a number of them which we wrote and revised. Sometimes they even said that the unions need to provide to them our audited accounts, our account details and all that for them, give them our constitutions and all that. And then every branch or union, local or whatever, had to register with road safety, and then yearly for them to be renewing our right to work. Including one particular draft regulation was about members or drivers are supposed to now approach the Road Safety Authority for a permit to drive. After you have gone to DBLE, a driving license is issued to you throughout a test, because they normally have to do what? Certificate of competence before they give you a driving license. And then after that, we now have to come to Road Safety Authority for a permit now again to drive. All those draft regulations, we wrote and objected against them.
But the Road Safety Authority says there is no cause for alarm.
Law is made for people. And so if it is implemented and it's not bringing any effect, or rather negative effect to some other groups and organizations, we can look at it and see if there can be some amendments and so on. But I don't think it will go to the extreme where fighting back will mean we disagreeing, and so it may escalate to a point where we cannot implement our law.
As the statistics also reveal that more men die in road crashes than women, all road users are entreated to drive safe and arrive alive. This year's stakeholders meeting has been attended by all driver unions, the Police MTTD, road safety sensitization groups, and CAT International, under one resolution to reduce road crashes and death in the next few years. James Kwesi-Aveji's report read to you.
So the National Road Safety Authority has had that engagement. In fact, just yesterday, that deliberation happened, and we have that stakeholders engagement on road safety with details. Now, part of those details reveal that there are some interesting developments, positive developments, a decline in the fatalities as a result of crashes. This morning, we tried to address the issue, find out about what is going well, what still needs to be done, what the way forward is, and how we can sustain these gains. Joining us for starters for the conversation, we have Cecil Gabra, Mr. Cecil Gabra, and of course, he is CEO, Top Tech Transport and Logistics. He joins us for the conversation. In fact, he's been playing hide and seek with me for a while now. I've not got to interact with him for quite a while. Mr. Gabra, a very good morning to you. You would have to unmute, Mr. Gabra. Okay, so we'll try to work out the connection with Cecil Gabra, who is CEO, Top Tech Transport and Logistics. I see him working that out. But we're just going to walk through what exactly the NRSA, or the National Road Safety Authority, has been telling us in recent times about the recent gains we've been making. That report on the first quarter. And there are some takeaways from their gathering, their meeting, that we're going to be sharing with you as well. Cecil, I can hear you now, loud and clear. Thank you for joining the conversation.
Thank you too for having me. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Is it tiredness? You sound a little, I wouldn't say winded.
Oh, well, I'm okay. Strong and healthy as usual.
Okay. What do you make of this latest development as, evinced, or we can glean from the latest road safety situational report by the NRSA? There are pluses and minuses, but one thing we can celebrate is that over the years, we seem to have, I think since 2021, thereabouts, we've been declining in terms of crashes. And again, there's been a decline now in terms of the casualties as a result of crashes, I should say. But what would you say summarily is where we are now when it comes to the road safety situation in our country?
Thank you so much. Very good. Very, very good. I was at the program yesterday, listened to all the speakers and all the reports, and I think we're doing very well as compared to the number of vehicles that we have, as well as the other countries. Okay, we're doing quite well.
On the number of vehicles, very quickly, I remember a conversation with you where you said we had about, was it 3 million?
Yes. I can't confirm, but then of course we are around 3 million, 3.5 vehicles in the country. But again, I'm saying we're doing well. And I would say kudos to the National Road Safety Authority for the bold initiative to get all the stakeholders involved in this wonderful program. I would say it shouldn't end there, at least for every quarter, because we are dealing with human lives. And just like we all know, transporting goods and services in this country amounts to, I'll say, about over 90%. And then if that's on the road, right? So if we are doing road transportation, then we need to come together as one people and discuss it at least every 3 months and know the way forward in terms of reducing the carnage on our road. So kudos to National Road Safety Authority. It was really a wonderful program, and all stakeholders were there.
Thank you for those initial comments. Let me also take those of Reverend Cyril Crabb, President, Accident Victims. Rev, a very good morning to you. All right, so we'll try to get back to Reverend Crabb. Now, if you look at the global situation, according to a model by the World Health Organization, you would look at the road traffic injury fatality rate per 100,000 population, and you would see where it stands globally at 18.2. You come to Africa and it is 26.6, but when you come to Ghana, we're just beneath that, 24.9. So it would appear that for every 100,000 head count, we're faring pretty well. At least, not, I wouldn't say well, but at least we're just around the average mark. But then you look at the regional situation as well. Fatality rates, that is deaths per 10,000 vehicles recorded in selected African countries. In 2018, of course, it's a good 5 years away, but it gives us a reflection. You would look at Morocco, Eswatini, which was formerly Swaziland, and look at all the countries in between, and you see a figure as high as 75.4 for Uganda. Again, on this list, we don't fare that badly. What would you say, Cecil, accounts for these gains that we seem to have chalked? Because, like I said, over the last 3 years at least, when you look at the data, I think it was about 2 years ago, we were talking a lot about the carnage on our roads. Then it started getting better. How did we get to this point? What have you seen in between?
Well, I know for sure that the National Road Safety Authority came up with a strategy 1, 2, 3, and this is the 4. And if you study the reports very well, I would say that it's a collective effort from all Ghanaians, including drivers, pedestrians. I mean, all of us are involved. It's not one man's decision, but the initiative with the National Road Safety Authority has been very good. I mean, I see it as a new National Road Safety Authority led by Engineer David Adonting. And if I look around and I go to the office, I see everybody is involved. I mean, right from scratch. Look at this Easter, for instance. We had the whole team of the National Road Safety Authority on the major roads leading to, I'll say, enjoyment. Those going to Kou, going to Kumasi, and so on. Right? We had a wonderful team of policemen, DVLA officials, and other stakeholders, all trying to just slow down issues on speed and then dealing with other recalcitrant drivers. I know some of them are going to court. Other big men were also arrested for flouting the road regulations. This is what we want. But then in general, we are brother's keeper. That is what must be the topic for discussion, that all of us are involved. When we talk about road crashes, it is not only one person. It is not the police. It is not the National Road Safety Authority. It is not GPRTU and all those unions. We are all involved in this situation. We need a lot more of education, and I'll say education has done the trick for now, as well as involvement of the enforcement agencies have done the trick. We need to get it lower than that. After all, just like I said earlier on, we transport goods and services by road and not by air or sea transport, right? Maximum is by road. And if it's by road, we need good roads. We need to see more good roads. We need to drive in a speed, in a way and manner to save lives and save the property that we have, which is the vehicle. But then the human lives are very important. And I will also say a very good thank you to Multimedia for the initiative on your road safety program, which I have been involved. It is all good. We should continue. We shouldn't leave it for one person, and all of us must be involved to reduce the carnage on our road, because we need all of us alive in one piece and not in pieces, my brother.
Do we have Rev back, Reverend Crab? All right, so we do not have him yet. I'll move on then with you, Cyril. Cecil, I beg your pardon. Now, if you look at the component of the countries across Africa, from Mauritius, that has a score of about, 3.4, to Uganda, which is in the high 70s, in fact, 75.5. Then you look at Ghana, 30.4. In fact, the figure we gave earlier was not even reflective of the 2018 figure, which was 34. I believe that has also declined. But whether it is 34 or 24, closer to where we are now, what does that really mean? Out of every 10,000 crashes, with these numbers being lost by way of casualties?
Well, this is a calculation that gives that report for us to know that out of the vehicle population, which every country holds, it is done by 10,000. Out of the 10,000, we are not faring bad at all in terms of carnage on the roads. Now, this is a 2018 report. I guess when the 2022 report is released, we will come down to a level like Mauritius. I am very sure, because we are all working to reduce the carnage on the road.
Cecil, please repeat that. You're saying that by when you're expecting that we'll get to the levels of Mauritius. Just clarify that.
I am saying the 2022 report will be looking very, very good, because we are all involved now. It is not only one person. This report is done, I think, every 2-3 years. So let's see what happens. But we are not going to wait for reports to come out. We need to all work as a team to reduce the carnage on our roads. And then mostly it's all by speed. If we're all reducing our speed. And then yesterday I was really much touched with the reports from the General Secretary of the GPRTU. Okay, and I can assure you that on their level, they are doing all the checks and balances to make sure that the drivers that they have conform with all road safety measures before they make any trip. Because if you look at buses in this country, they carry a lot more of people than individual vehicles. So we are getting there, and we'll be there. The aim is to get to a minimum figure. Okay, we can't get to zero. We can only get to zero when everything is in place. But then road crashes is reducing. That's the good news in this country.
Even just this morning, and it was interesting because around the police training school here close to us in Tesano, I noticed that 3 vehicles, an old Benz vehicle, another vehicle, and a bus had some sort of collision just this morning. So it's interesting, even as we try to, but I don't think there were any fatalities. But if you look at the summary of the road traffic crash situation, the first quarter of 2023 put side by side with the first quarter of 2022, you would realize that in terms of cases reported, there's been a decline, and that could be plus or minus. And again, it could also be that there are fewer cases being reported, because we know that while it is illegal, some people would be involved in a crash and there would be no report because they want to find a way of resolving their own issues. So 3,340 cases in the first quarter 2023 versus 3,932 in the first quarter of 2022. Then the vehicles involved, another sharp decline there from 6,587 in 2022 to 5,722 in 2023. Persons killed also dropping by almost 200. In fact, so that's about 190, from 734 in the first quarter of 2022 to 544 in the first quarter of 2023. Same as far as persons injured, 4,000 plus to 3,697. And then pedestrian knockdowns, again, decreasing from 712 to 606. When you look at the differences, here's what it means. In terms of cases reported, they dipped by over 15%. In terms of the vehicles involved, they dipped by over 13%. In terms of the persons killed, it fell by about 25%. Injuries, it fell by over 8%, and pedestrian knockdowns fell by about 14%. Does that feed into the picture of why you feel in the next report that we're going to get, our statistics are going to be even better?
That is exactly so. And you would realize that it's a sudden change, which means that, and I always preach this news, that road safety is not about sitting in the office and then giving instructions. But here we are. It's a big change. And honestly speaking, I am really, really happy with Engineer Adontin. Okay, that, look, they don't sit in the office any longer. You know, I have complained in the past that road safety is not about sitting in the office. They are there. They are always on the move to make sure that ever since it was turned into an authority, they work with the Ghana police, they work with other stakeholders and make sure that the right thing is being done. Right, and then you know the situation that we have in this country, that if the law enforcers are there, people behave. It is not only so now. We can see people behaving differently now. Nobody wants to be arrested by the police. Everybody wants to do the right thing. So doing the right thing is to save the situation. That's why we're seeing a lot more of figures coming down compared to last year, last 2 years. So it is really good news. Let's say kudos to the team again. I'll forever say that they are really working. But remember, they need that logistics. I always say they need more vehicles. They need all breathalyzers. And then yesterday at the function, I think
how many of those do we have in the system? Come to think of it, I rarely see breathalyzers being used.
Well, there are very few. Honestly speaking, I must say so. Right after talking to National Road Safety Authority, I realized that they need a lot more of logistics than whatever we think of. Okay, vehicles to move. That is number one. Some of us are even helping them for that purpose, for them to have that movement. I mean, that should be so. So we should look at the national system to say that the Ministry of Transportation must have a big eye for the National Road Safety Authority to give them what they need to work, because after all, we all sit in vehicles and go to work in this country. Nobody goes by air, nobody goes by sea, it is all by road transport, and we need to support them to their work well. They are doing very well. That's what I'll say for now.
Thank you. Just hold for me, Cecil. Let me bring in Cyril Crabb, Reverend Cyril Crabb. He is president of the Accident Victim Support Ghana, or Accident Victims Support Ghana. Reverend, thank you so much for joining the conversation. And I would like to kickstart the conversation from your end by having you tell us a little bit about your outfit, what exactly you do. The name is clear enough, but I'm sure not too many people get to hear of what you do. Tell us a bit about that, and then we'll get into why you think the latest statistics are showing what they are, evincing that there are continuous declines in road crash numbers, in fatality numbers, in reporting numbers as well. It's looking pretty good for us, isn't it?
Very good, and thank you very much for having me. Let me say kudos to the good work you are doing. Drive safe. You are doing very well, and I commend you for that. You keep it up. Let me also greet the National Road Safety Authority, Engineer David Adontin, for the good work he's doing. Yeah, so our outfit, we give voluntary service to crash victims in the area of when they are hospitalized. We make sure we defray the cost of their hospital expenses. We give them counseling, and also when they are discharged, we see how best we can reintegrate them back into society. Basically, dealing with trauma issues. And then at the end, we also try to direct them through the processes of compensations and insurance claims. And so that's what we do, if I should say. Secondly, I've been listening to the conversation, and trust me, it's very interesting. Let me greet my senior brother, Cecil. He was at the program yesterday. We couldn't talk yesterday, but it was very interesting, the presentations that came there, and from all of the stakeholders that were present there. I believe that one way or another, we were all excited at what we saw, and the tail end at the way the chairman, who was the board chair of the National Road Safety Authority, presented and summarized.
Hello, Reverend Crabb.
Especially telling crashes in our country. If you ask where I sit, continuously for the past 5 years, we see injured victims at the end of the year, sometimes over 12,000, sometimes over 14,000, sometimes over 15,000. To end up at a place where, it becomes very, very difficult for them, to get medication.
Well, Reverend Crabb, we appear to lose you. We appear to lose you intermittently. I don't know what is happening. So it's impacting the free flow of the conversation. I don't know whether you could move a little so we can have better connectivity, because right now we lose you every now and then.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. If you could just go back by a little and rehash what you've been saying, I'd be grateful.
So where I am right now, is it okay for you?
Please go ahead, Reverend Crab.
Yes. So let me just go straight to what probably has precipitated this decline, and we are where we are today. The deaths at a point in time became too much, and I believe that the National Road Safety, receiving continuous backlashes, have to step up their game. And as my senior brother said, the National Road Safety now with
I think we'll try to
office, but to check the. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but there's something obviously problematic with the connection. So just hold for us. We'll try to see what we can do about working that out. But let me go to Cecil now. Cecil, you also look at the interesting dynamics when it comes to pedestrian knockdowns. In fact, earlier I saw in this this report, when it comes to the vehicle types involved in accidents, and you look at the national situation, Cecil, you would see that for buses or minibuses, in 2011, it stood at 30.7%, which moved to third in 2020, that's 16.3%. Then we had, by end of year 2020, the motorcycles taking over 26.9%, and that was a third in they were third in 2011. So finally, you look at the remarks there, it appears that motorcycle fatalities or crashes have overtaken minibuses and have moved from third to first with an increase of 10.3%. I just want us to stay there for a bit, because we've been talking about motorcycle crashes every now and then. In the last few years, they've become pretty prevalent, causing a lot of problems. What is the situational report on that, at least from what you gather? Hello, Cecil? Hello, Cecil?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Please go ahead.
Okay, all right. So I am saying that it's a big problem, not only in Ghana, everywhere. And let me use the word Okada, is the Okada system. What I can see is that a lot of pillion riders have noticed that, yes, if you sit on the Okada, they are going to die. However, a lot also of the riders are now courier riders. But the riding is still the same in the term that we see, that they don't care about traffic lights, they don't care about the way they ride. So figures will continuously go up. We have a lot more of bikes that are not also registered in this country. And then I am advocating that DVLA must look at how we can go ahead, not to seize the bikes, but the entry point in this country, okay, if it could be sort of registered from when they are entering the country, or there should be a control, there should be some mechanism, right? I am doing a report on that aspect, and when it is ready, I'll send a copy to you on motorcycles, what we really need to do. But we need to keep an eye on them, because most of them are really, really quite a nuisance. They are recalcitrant, they don't care about their lives. And those few people that are pillion riders are also risking their lives. Okay, if you visit general hospitals like Police Hospital, Kolebo, on daily basis, there are very serious accidents from motorbike riding in this country. So something must be done. I mean, that is also a big challenge that we need to look at as National Road Safety is going ahead with this strategy for.
And you look again, I mean, apart from the motorcycle bit from 2021, you look at the peak hours, and it appears it's that time when most people are shuttling from work back home, 6 to 8 p.m. So it tells a lot about where we should be focusing. And again, if you look at some of the other reports, you would notice that around March, April, when people are going to celebrate Easter, yes, people are traveling to other parts of the country, you would see a spike in the numbers as well. There is a concern when it comes to the age dynamics. Per the 2021 report, ages of persons killed in crashes, you look at the 26 to 35 group, and it is 29.9%. And that again, when you look at end of year 2020, it was 29.4%. So we're hovering just about minus 0.5 year on year. But here's the interesting development, because when you go a bit lower, you would see the age stratification. I just saw that. I want to get to it. If you look at 2023, January to March, the ratio is 1:6. 18-year-olds and above, one portion, and those below 18 years. Those below 18 years are actually 1/6, and then those above 18 years taking the rest of that population. What does this mean? Because the young people are the lifeblood of our country, and it appears a lot of them, if 1/6 of these are below the age of 18, we'll have to look at, we don't have the full figures in terms of how many casualties fell into that category and all of that. But this definitely is problematic, isn't it, from that standpoint?
Yes, it is really problematic. The issue is that many more young people die in this country because, well, I'll say they don't really care about themselves. I'm talking about the youth in this country, right? So, and that is a productive age. A productive age for every country is between 25, I'll say even 20 years to 40 years. And if such people are dying, then it means we are losing it. So we need them alive. We need more education. We need to bring them back. Most of them, I'm telling you this not in confidence, that most of them are on drugs. And of course, when you're on drugs, you do everything that you can do in terms of riding motorbikes, in terms of driving. So education and enforcement is what we need in this country for us to have a success in numbers coming down in road traffic accidents.
The regional distribution also shows some decline in some regions and an appreciation, an increment in other regions. Generally, though, there is more of a decline with only the Northeast OT, Western and Upper East regions noting some sort of increment. But to wrap off the conversation, there's also been that note made of traffic lights that are faulty. Recently, we went out into town and we had quite a conversation on that. What then would be the way forward? One, how do we sustain the gains? And on the bit about traffic lights, what would you say we should be doing? The last time we went around, and even right here, very close to our outfit here in Kukumlimli, there was one that was not functioning. What do we do about that, as that is part of the problem?
Yes, traffic light is a major issue. Like we see, repair and maintenance has become, I'll say, hell, right? Something needs to be done as soon as possible. I know, I can't say it, but there's a whole fight between the companies involved in repair and maintenance as well as the government, but it all comes back to the same issue of money. And this must be sorted out from the Ministry of Transport as well as the companies involved, such as traffic and signals and so on and so forth. Right? We have the men. Let them work. Pay them. Let them do all the repair works. Okay. Some are underground problems. Some, I think we did a program last week, and we have the general public. We have other issues like people vandalizing the traffic lights, people stealing cables and so on from the traffic light. So it is a major concern, and then we need an enforcement. We need also the Ministry of Transportation to wake up. They should wake up. Department of Urban Roads, everything comes to you. Traffic lights must work. Traffic lights support all of us at intersections, okay? And then if they are not working, then we should expect more accidents. And I know National Road Safety Authority has said what I'm saying, that we need to pick up our game, Let us solve the issues on the traffic lights. It is becoming unbecoming. It is very serious. We have other places that the traffic lights are not really working, and then we have traffic on the increase. The biggest that I can see is the favorite of Bernice, your reporter. That is at Aoshi. I have been there. I've seen what is happening. Traffic lights are not working. As well as Shiashi. These are two major areas, and every day accidents do occur. We shouldn't also rely on the police to say that we need a police every now and then to be there to control the situation. If there's money, pay the people. If we need to dig the ground, we should dig the ground before many more lives are lost. That is what we need to do in this country. We shouldn't wait, and those of our ministers and so on that are flying in motorcades are not seeing it. That's the question. Please go and ask them. They should provide the right means to solve this problem.
Cecil, we're grateful. We know you're very busy and you've taken the time to join us this morning. We're grateful for your time, and kudos to you for the work you keep doing now that you say we are all involved and you're assisting the authorities as well. We're grateful for your time this morning, Cecil Gabra.
You're most welcome.
And Cecil, of course, is a CEO, Top Tech Transport and Logistics. We finally have Reverend Cyril Crabb, and thank you for staying for so long. We have limited time, so I would ask you to give us your global view of what this report evinces, this latest report by the National Road Safety Authority for the first quarter, and how you think we can sustain the gains, Reverend Crabb.
All right. Thank you very much, and very sorry for the challenges we had before. We finally here. Now, I believe globally, Ghana is not doing bad. I heard you asking question about it. You know, with what the statistics you have. Globally, we are not doing bad at all. I believe we are doing our best, very, very best, frankly best. And like Cecil said, we'll say kudos to the National Road Safety Authority for stepping up their game. The strategies that they have currently in place are really, really going to help to continuously see declines in the CIDs. You know, one life lost is one too many. And we have to indeed step up in what we are doing. In fact, like he said before he ended, and like you also rightly said before you cut him, Cecil, Ghanaians must take road safety as a priority. And I say this every day, every time, anywhere I get opportunity. We are a country that it looks as if we don't prioritize road safety. A country where you spot a particular location and you try to do an intervention to save lives like an overhead, and the people within the country says, no, we don't want it. You do a zebra crossing at a place where you know students must cross to save their lives. They say no. You compel schools, underage schools, and you tell them this is the safest way to transport students to school, and this is a standardized vehicle you should use. And you see schools proprietors using rickety cars to pick students. We don't have road furniture at areas where there are schools. And so at the end of the day, I heard you even saying that underage children under the age of 18, we keep on seeing them also of Okada, like he rightly said, as if their life is not their own, as if they want to die today. They are not mindful of their lives, you know, and it becomes problematic when you are an advocate for these things. You know, above all, the police it cannot be there. And yesterday we heard the police saying that they are going to bring out, you know, cameras that they are going to use, and so they are always not going to be, you know, visible on the road. It is good, but I think at the end of the day, the entire country, National Road Safety is not resourceful, like he said, with very low funding. They are trying to do their best, and we must take it as a priority as a country. Where I sit, when I go and see a victim who cries and now curses the land, no victim blesses the land, but curses the land and call for their ancestors to come for their aid. I think we shouldn't get there at all. before I even say in my last word, look at the children that were involved in the crash over there. We've not tried to give them some kind of counseling to bring them out of the trauma. They are traumatized. As I talk to you now, I've been speaking to some of them. And in the past, we've had, like say 2 years and 1.5 years ago, if you permit me, I'll bring one of the students. We have to change the school right there and then, because after today, she cannot even get near to that road. She's not traveled to that road again. She has met out in her leg. She's called Beverly. She's now at Nongwa Secondary School. So it's a threat on that road. And I think 66 years, the Cape Coast Road must be fixed. And not only that, we must prioritize not only our roads, but the users of the road, especially students. And for that matter, especially the Cape Coast Road. We have students traveling on it all the time. Should we continue to have them die all the time? Arguably, state transport, STC, is the best transport ever. And we already know what accounted to this. That is not to say that we'll never go through them again. Arguably is one of the best, safest transport we have in the country. But then again, if we can expand, enlarge the roads a bit, or do it a dual carriage, I want to take it as my singular campaign to continuously speak on the media so we can fix that road. It's a death trap. And mind you, it serves not only Ghana, but entire West Africa. So we need to at least take road safety as a priority and invest in it. Government must invest in it. Look, we are proud enough to have Engineer Dontin and the previous engineers who have been in charge of the National Road Safety Authority. Let me say good morning to the immediate past Director General, Engineer May Obriyebua, who did her best to hold the fort. Now Engineer Dontin has come. He's doing his best. Can we give them the support? Can we give them the push, the needed funding, to push these things? Because families and potentials of this country who could be also engineers to help the future are dying. And we can't continue to lose them. Yes, we are seeing decline. Yet, one life lost is one too many. And we deserve to live in this country, not allow road crashes to end our lives.
Reverend, you couldn't have said it any better. That passionate plea for funding support. Reverend Cyril Crab is president of the Accident Victim Support Ghana. He joined the conversation as well. Of course, earlier we had Cecil Gabra, CEO, Top Tech Transport and Logistics. We take a break at this point, and when we return, well, two major conversations we're going to be having. The other one on the last leg would be on the NDC's front, as Dr. Kwabena Duffuor, who hopes to be the flag bearer of the party, is saying if he gets the nod and becomes president, schools under trees will be eradicated. But when we return, it'll all be the talk about the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana. They're marking 60 years of existence. What do they have to share with us? How have they got to this monumental feat? And what is the way forward for them? All that chatter right after the break.
Good morning to you. Thank you so much for staying on the AM show. I'm Bernice Lansah, just gone by. You had that interaction between my colleague Benjamin Akakpo and on the road safety issues. Well, it's now time to talk about the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana. They're turning 60 this year. Yeah, 60. Did you ever think they were that old? Well, I didn't. This morning I've been joined by Ms. Senatake, who is the president of the ICAG, and Mr. Osei Ejejimfi, who is the Director of Technical and Research of the Chartered Institute, or Chartered Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me. And I'm excited your president is a woman. I mean, I just had to say it. I'm just excited by that fact. But tell us the journey of the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana. How did it start? What was the motive behind it? And how has the journey been?
Okay, thank you very much. And it all started in the early 60s
when a College of Technology
Traffic situation
currently was hosting the study of accountancy for some students. And then later on, it was moved to Achimota and under the University of Ghana Commerce Department, where our first president, Dr. Ares Amegashi, was leading the course. Through his efforts and the efforts of our forebears, we were able to have an act of parliament, Chartered Accountants Act 1963-170. And since then, we've developed and improved, and we are now a solid professional accountancy body, part of the International Federation of Accountants, a worldwide organization. We are part of the Pan-African Federation. We play very key roles in there. We are part of the standard setters for accountancy in general in the world. And we currently have a new act, which is the Act 1058, which was promulgated in 2020. And we are excited about that. So we are 60 years.
You're 60 years, and it's exciting news for me. I never thought. I drive past your office occasionally, and anytime I see the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana, I don't know why, but I always remember the stories of people who've been trying to chatter and how they say, hey, these people are wicked, oh. These people don't let me chatter, oh. Why do people have the perception that you're such a strict body that doesn't, is not that you are careful, but the perception is that you just want to be so close-knit that it's difficult for people to be chartered accountants.
Oh, yes, it's true. It has a history. Before we had our full complement of learning materials, many of our students didn't have the materials to study and pass examination. Okay. But the narrative has changed so much. Now we have world-class syllabus and also learning materials, and so our students are able to study and study well. And I can tell you that many students are
passing now.
Yes. Even 18-year-olds are qualified as accountants. That's true.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
how? Okay, well, we'll come back to talk about how they do that, because I was just going to ask you, how does someone charter? What are the processes? But before then, she's just shared with us the journey of the Institute. But what exactly is your mandate?
Yes. Our mandate is to regulate the accountancy profession and also the practice. This is very critical because, before the enactment of our new Act, that's 1058, we have some accountants who were operating outside regulation. We could only regulate our members.
Okay.
But with the new Act, we are to regulate anyone who holds himself out as an accountant.
Whether they are part of the
Exactly. So our rule has been expanded. And we also regulate the training of accountants. And then we also approve, adopt, implement, and also ensure compliance to international standards of accounting. And we are also a reference point for accountancy research, among others. So the key mandates of our institute.
And so since you started, is there anything, Ms. Dake, that stands out for you as an achievement of the institute that you'd like to share with us?
Yes, I think in Africa we have made a very big milestone in the training of accountancy and on the audit or quality assurance side, because Ghana has become a reference point for quality assurance, and many of our African countries or PAOs come for review or to learn how we do our processes. Our training and examination is a point of reference for many other professional bodies. And like you said, we are quite strict, but that is integrity, and we stand for integrity. So we do not compromise the standards when it comes to our examination, and that is a source of attraction. And this has attracted our international bodies that have even identified our institute as the first institute in the Anglophone in Africa that there will be a support for us to do examinations online. So we have the IFAC and Gavi and Global Fund supporting us to make our examinations online because of the kind of attraction our exam processes have had. In addition to that, I think the extension of membership with the students, we now have fellows. Okay. It's also an achievement for us, because if you have been an experienced accountant for a long time, being a fellow is worth the while. So we have that as an achievement. We are also a center of, we've positioned ourselves as a center of research, and so we have an opportunity to be the country that will be serving the West African countries to develop research in accountancy.
Okay.
And with this, we are already doing it because we support Liberia, for instance. We support Sierra Leone and Gambia. Liberia writes ICA Ghana exams. So all chartered accountants in Liberia are chartered accountants who were developed from ICA Ghana.
Oh, wow.
And then the Sierra Leone, Gambia also writes our exams. So ICA Ghana is not only a national thing, but it is really an international
as well.
Yes.
That's exciting. But you see, before we go further into your 60th anniversary, the celebrations, it just crossed my mind to ask, who is an accountant? If I sit in a shop and I take stock of how much is sold, how much we need to buy the next, materials to produce the next consignment, and measure profits, does that make me an accountant? Who is an accountant?
Not necessarily. You see, every business activity ends up in a financial statement.
Okay.
Accountancy is the language of business.
Okay.
Yes, and so every business activity ends up in a statement. And so an accountant is someone who records, analyzes, and also reports these activities in the financial statement. And so it's not anyone who sits in the shop that can call himself or herself as an accountant. The person has to be trained to become an accountant.
Interesting. And this is important to not only, like Ms. Dake has said, not only to us, but even for us as a country. And there's a very valuable contribution you made in the debt exchange program, domestic debt exchange program. Mr. JJ, would you like to tell us about that?
Yes, I would like to do that. As I said earlier, every activity that is business ends up in a financial statement. And so the debt exchange is one of them. Although it's so novel, it's the first time that we had something like that. But since December, ICAG has been in consultation with a lot of stakeholders. Indeed, we had a series of meetings with BOG, with Minister of Finance, the Government Economic Management Team, and also a Council of State, and other key stakeholders. And as a result, we have issued 4 industry discussion papers, provide guidance to those who prepare financial statements, and also to practitioners, that's auditors.
Is that because you discovered some loopholes, or you discovered certain things that you thought could have been done better to avert the situation? I just want to understand why the guidelines were given.
Yes, as I said, this is novel.
Okay.
That's never happened before. It has never happened that the borrower would tell the lender that, okay, I have an agreement with you. It has terms and conditions, but because of my economic standing, I cannot really pay. And so now, let me give you a new agreement in exchange for the old one.
Right.
It's so novel. Fortunately, our standards has provisions for that. And so we needed to give guidelines to those who prepare financial statements, who are members, and also those who audit the financial statement, who also are members, so that we can be in line with international standards.
I like that. Do you want to add something, Ms. Dake?
Yeah, I think that when you asked who can be an accountant, I think accountants should bring to mind stewardship and accountability. And accountability does not only lie on accountants. And the very fact that we have been trained professionally to guide, we should be serving as advisory, giving opportunities to impact on decision making, to be part of economic management team, not only to be preparing financial reports, but in decision making, that is where the accounting or our professionalism must even start at the planning stage for preventive measures. And so I believe that accountability is very core, and it can happen at every stage, every level. We are looking forward to having a lot of people, not only because you want to be called accountant and work as an accountant. Chief executive should come and do accounting and understand what the financial implications of their decision making are. Management members who are in different sectors should do accounting and understand accounting. Financial literacy is what is killing a lot of industries and a lot of investment decisions we are making. And I think that it is time that everybody should embrace accounting as an area of development.
Now you're making me wonder if I should consider doing accounting. Do I qualify anyway?
You qualify.
What does it take for someone to come to your institute and get training?
What it takes is a good heart and a good mind.
No background in accounting?
No way, you don't need any background in accounting.
Oh, you
can start, even if you did history at the university, you can start accounting.
I didn't know this.
You can do that. You might even gain some exemptions.
Okay.
And so everyone can start the course and qualify.
That's something new I'm learning. I actually assumed, like it is for the law profession, that you move from, maybe you have a degree in law, then you go to the Ghana Law School before you write your exams. I didn't know anybody could just walk into the institute.
I didn't do accounting at my secondary level.
What did you do?
I did arts.
Yes. Oh, I also didn't do accounting.
And we have medical officers who are accountants.
Okay, all right. Okay, please, I'll let you give us directions. I'm sure someone is having ideas at this point, but let's talk about the 60th anniversary celebrations and what has been lined up.
Okay, so the 60th anniversary is taking place from 22nd, that's tomorrow, to 28th, and we're having most of the program activities at Sunyani. The first for tomorrow is a walk, and the health walk is across the country, but for convenience, Accra Society or Accra accountants are doing the work here, and other regional societies are also doing it wherever they are. We would have a Thanksgiving service on Sunday, and the main one would be in Christ the King Church at 10:30, and then from there the rest is in Sunyani.
Why Sunyani?
Sunyani because we move from regions to regions,
okay,
and we try to harness the cultural, the regional integration. So those relationships are very important, and so far as our work cuts across the entire country, we cannot just stick to one location and have our programs. So this is the first time we are going to Sunyani, and we are having very innovative activities like the Abriwa Night, the Boogie Night.
Boogie Night?
Yes. And
interesting.
then our other normal statutory activities, including our AGM, which will be on Friday, and then the dinner dance on the same Friday. The entire program is very, very exciting, looks very exciting. A lot of members are looking forward to it, and we are storming Sunyani.
Okay, I like the sound of that. But so that's the Accountants Week celebration, right? Which is part of the 60th anniversary, or you're merging the two?
I thought it is a merge.
Okay.
Because Accountancy Week is annual.
Okay.
Yes. But it falls in the year when
the 60th.
We had the 60th.
Okay, so you're not doing separate events, you're just doing everything together. Okay, but there's a theme that I'd like us to just focus on a bit. It's promoting sustainability, deepening trust, and nurturing partnerships. Why this theme, Ms. Dake?
Okay, thank you very much. This 2023 is the midpoint of the implementation of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And you realize that even though we are the middle, there are so many worldwide crises that would indicate that we are very far from reaching the goals. ICA Ghana has taken an interest and is part of the development goal achievers. And some of our activities, which we think are very key, are to enhance trust, because we realize public confidence in public financial management systems, a lot of accountability issues, abuse of power, all those things are issues that are very core to the trust that people have in professionals and especially accountants. And we want to reiterate the need for ethical values to be instilled and disciplined within our own society and then to the public as we carry the through. In addition, sustainability, because you see the climate change and even our business growth, having going concern, are issues of sustainability, the environment. There are issues that we are supposed to even be reporting on. And how many institutions are reporting on them? We cannot stand aside and watch these sustainability issues just be on the side. We are part of it and we need to be involved in it. The last thing or the last key thing on partnership is because we have a lot of unhealthy competition, unhealthy business. And we have in Accra now the headquarters of AFTA. That is a global organization for transfer of trade. And within Ghana, are we partnering enough? Do we have firms and small, medium enterprises partnering with each other to bring out innovation, industrialization, and also to improve infrastructure development that this country needs? I think those were very core issues that we saw the need to have this.
And that's why you have the theme. It's a very fantastic one. So you have a conference, right? And it's all happening in Sunyani because it's part of the occasion. But Mr. JJ, who can be a part of this? If somebody is interested in being a part of the conference, how do they participate? How do they go about getting involved, talking about sponsorships and even all that?
Yes, it's basically for our members to congregate at Sunyani, to celebrate our achievements, and then also to network, because it's a large congregation of accountants, both in the private and in the public sector. And we will engage in thought-provoking discussions that will inform policy for government and also ensure that we contribute our quota to national development. And so if you want to be part of it, first of all, you have to be a member. And secondly, you can sponsor the occasion. Look, this is a congregation of accountant decision makers, those who write checks, those who approve checks. And so if you're not part of it, you are missing a lot.
Right.
And so you can call our offices if you want to sponsor, and you will be allowed to do so. And it is worth it.
I appreciate that. So business owners, people who are interested, you can even sponsor your accountants to be a part, and that's it if they're only members. But finally, Ms. Dake, what are the key issues that are going to be discussed? Just table a few of them, and your final message to your members.
Okay. So we will be looking at the sustainability as a topic, delving into it and the relationship that business owners and accountants should have. We'll also be navigating the regulatory issues on the debt exchange and how the way forward and what we should be doing, what we should be looking out for. That is another major topic. We have some research work that the Institute sponsors.
You publish
it? Yes, we will be sharing those research work as well over there. But just to add that even though we are doing it for our members, we are encouraging our managements and our other stakeholders within the businesses, both private and public, to sponsor and come themselves. Because it's when they understand what we have to do, if they understand our standards, then it's easier for them to work with us. There are several sectors that have to make a presence. The mining sector, they have to make a presence. The energy sector, all sectors are part of this conference. It is not only persons working in accounting or in public sector alone. Everybody is welcome. And it's not too late to join us because the program starts effectively the conference starts on Tuesday, and that is the learning point for us. We all need to be there to enjoy it. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming, Ms. Dake. She's president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants, Ghana, and also she was here with Mr. Osei Ejejimfi, Director, Technical and Research Department of the Institute. We are grateful. We wish you all the best. Did you want to say something? Any last words?
Okay. All that I have to say is that to our members and also to everyone, that Sunyani is the new venue for events. And so we expect them to
find your way there. All right. Well, so you find your way there, and more, in subsequent development. If you're interested in being a part, we've just been told that you don't need to have an accounting background. If you're interested in learning, the Institute is ready to welcome you. Well, that's where our conversation ends. But we get interactive with you right after this. Do stay. Hello there, Benjamin, you're welcome.
I am back, and I feel almost as though I am the one you're about to get interactive with. But it is those out there we're going to be hearing from.
Exactly. So you call us this morning. We've been discussing quite a lot of issues. Do feel free to share your thoughts with us. The numbers to call are on your screen: 0302-211-691, 0302-211-691, and we will be glad to take those comments. And Benjamin, I am particularly happy that there's a reduction in the number of road crashes.
Yeah. Road crashes, fatalities, even reports as well.
Right.
But the case about the reports could be two-pronged, because it could be either that
it's
people are not reporting,
and it's not being reported,
or because there's been a decline.
Right.
There are fewer reports.
Right. For me, I think that if we are able to sustain it, then we will know that we are making real progress in that regard. But, you know, I always say this, that it always seems far until it happens to somebody, you know.
Or until it happens to you.
Yes. Road crashes are real. And even as we go into the weekend, let me just take this opportunity. And I always do this, right? Take it easy on the road. Don't drink and drive. I mean, that 120 kilometer you're going, just think about your family, think about your kids. And you know, sometimes the sad aspect is that usually those who are reckless, some way, somehow, escape. And those who are, like we say in Ghana, minding their business in their little corner, walking along the road, end up becoming victims. And so let's all be careful. We can achieve it. We can, because largely the research has pointed to it being largely human behavior, right? Because we talk about the roads, and those are legitimate concerns.
Reckless crossings, reckless overtakings.
Driving tired.
Driving tired. Look, it's something we take for granted.
Hey, don't try my brother.
Let's not get into those stories.
Driving tired, that's like a recipe for disaster.
It's one of those things where, look, and we've all fallen victim at a point. I remember speaking to this colleague. Unfortunately, he's passed. But just about a year ago, he was telling me about how he was leaving a certain route, and he was usually leaving at a certain point of night, and he would often be going, and, you know, at some point you are just nodding behind the wheel. And you know, the sort of jerk you get when you're there and someone is in traffic and they honk. That in itself just disorients you.
Yeah, you can easily panic, and that could be a recipe for disaster. Well, Isaac is our first caller from Taifa. Hello, Isaac. Thank you for calling us. Let's hear you, please.
Hi. Good morning. Thank you for the chance that you gave to me this morning. I appreciate it. My take in what you are discussing regarding the growth and the development of this country, I see that politically there is so much dishonesty going on at the governmental level, and that has to do with the too much executive power that, you know, our constitution grants the president. So we really need to sit down as a country and see if we can make some amendments and then change how our political structure looks like, how it's looking like now. I don't think going forward, the future of this country, if we really mean business to take it to the next level, then something has to be done. And that will descend down to the root cause of whatever we want to achieve in this country. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us, Isaac, there joining the program from Taifa. There are a couple of interesting things you did during the papers, right, when you were discussing the headlines.
Yeah, I mean, There's one that we practically didn't speak of. Kojo Brace looked at the Ghanaian Times newspaper. I just found it interesting, even as we have all the conversations. In my blunt thoughts, I spoke about Galamsey and what Professor Frimbo Boateng has been saying. Ellen Amadako, MPP communications member, and a quote from way back 2016, what the president has said about family and friends and what we are seeing now. And, you know, the human rights
issues.
Bit. Yeah. But I'm sure later we'll also get the time to reflect on what Osajifo Dr. Bedu, the Domahene, has been saying.
Vocal chief.
He's just been going on and on about LGBTQI.
Yeah. And he's saying...
the president coming...
Yeah, he says declare your stance before seeking political office in 2024. I.e., we need to know now what you believe in before we even think of voting for you. Well, we have a caller from English here, Manfrom. Hello, Maxwell, let's hear you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Maxwell. Can you please speak up a bit?
Yeah, I want to speak on the issue that you guys are talking about. This you are doing a very good show.
But Maxwell, we need you to just speak up a little for us. We'd be grateful.
Okay. I think most of the issues that we are discussing here borders on the police on the road, that's the MTTV. I recently noticed something about the MTTV on the road. A vehicle that was a trotro, and then instead of them to inspect what was actually wrong with the car, they just took the license from the driver. They took the money from the license. I have the video shots. They took the money and then they gave back the license to the driver. And this driver was driving recklessly on the road. And another issue has to do with this Pragia, these Aboboya people on the road too. If the MTTD or the National Road Safety Commission can look into this issue, I think it will clear the road for us. Thank you.
Thank you too for calling us, Maxwell, from English Amafrum. These concerns, well. But I personally believe if the Ghana Police Service wants to change the story, it can. But to be honest, there's more visibility. I mean, there's more presence of the police on the
That's
streets.
what they've written on their motorbikes.
Yeah.
Police visibility.
And so hopefully with time it will come with the kind of expected behavior of servicemen, and after a while we may phase out the bad ones. Robert is calling us from Sunyani. Hello, Robert. Good morning to you. What are your thoughts?
Good morning, madam, and I hope people are doing well.
We are. Thanks for asking. Hope you are too. Let's hear what you have to share.
Yes. So I thank you first of all for the opportunity to share my mind on this particular issue. So what I would like to say is that on the issue of the route, I think that we need to be careful when we are out there. Because the thing is that when you go out, remember your family needs you. Remember, those who depend on you need you. So when you are on the road, don't misbehave. The accident do not come by telling you that it is coming. It comes with a twinkle of an eye. And so I would like to appeal to all road users. Let's remember that our families need us. Ghana needs us. God needs us to serve Him. And so therefore, with the careful, every amount of care that we need to take care of ourselves when we are on the road should be employed. And at the end of the day, I believe and trust that we would have a road accident-free year and then many years that are to come. I trust and believe that we can do it. Thank you.
Thank you too for sharing your thoughts, and thank you for keeping hope alive.
Yeah.
Kwabna is calling us from Circle. We know it's not the musician Kwabna because we've engaged him before. Kwabna, how are you? And please share your thoughts with us.
Good morning. It's been a while.
Yes, it has been. Hope you've been doing well.
I am doing well. Thank you. Please, my submission has to do with the road fatality.
Right.
Since I'm a bus driver. We are thankful to the Almighty that fatality is still declining, but we have a lot to do by the government, by by way of dualizing our major roads. Because from here to Kumasi, if we are able to dualize the road, I think it will reduce the rate of road carnages, if that is done.
Right, we appreciate your thoughts. We know there are some works ongoing. It's been a while I went to Kumasi by road, though, but I know there are some works ongoing about dualizing portions of the highway. It's just about how soon we can get it done.
I think even in the constituency of the majority leader, you remember in the past we've had concerns there. So quite a number of those ongoing in different parts of that region.
Moses, you're joining us from Tamale. Hope it's good there. The last time I heard Tamale was quite hot. Hope the weather is being kind. What are your thoughts?
Yes, good morning, my dear.
Good morning, Moses.
And I must say that you guys are doing a great job.
Thank
However, we need to also add our voice as patriotic citizens. And so this morning I have been watching you. I saw my brother, Akakpo, how vociferous he was. He was angry. I think that Ghanaians, we need to be more angry, and we need to demand for whatever is due us. I think it is long overdue that our leaders have taken us for granted. They kind of paint themselves as white, yet in them they are really dark. And we always fall for cheap and easy way to get things. It is not done. And so we, the young ones, I am calling on the young ones to let us begin to think that, look, the future of this country, the future of ourselves belongs to us. And so we need to be proactive to do things that actually and near to our benefit, not for the few. Yes. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes. So, yes, I am just calling on the young guys to let us be proactive and demanding for accountability, sincere, without thinking about just today, but because we know that the future is bright. If we demand for accountability and also take responsibility, I know the future will be good. But I must add that Ghana, God has indeed blessed us. Other than that, in the hands of these so-called leaders, would have been gone and dead by now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. It's a very interesting point. And he picks a cue on your blunt thoughts and how we must begin to learn to say things as they are and demand what is due us. I remember seeing a post on social media and somebody said, look, we aren't angry enough as Ghanaians. We aren't, and when we say angry now, we're not talking about picking arms, because we live in a democratic society. And so when we say angry, nobody should misconstrue that to mean that we are
no one is promoting violence, but
anybody to be violent. But people must talk about peaceful marches, for example. It's happened elsewhere. Yeah. Martin Luther King led one. People who believe in what they deserve stand up and show up.
And we must all stand up and be counted, because if the ship sinks, it sinks with all of us.
You're right. Kwame is joining us from Accra. Hello, Kwame. Probably going to be our last caller this morning. What are your thoughts?
Well, I will start with the last caller. I think it's time that we, the youth of this land, take our own destiny into our hands. Because it seems our leaders do not care about us. So we have to go out there and fight for our own destiny. Coming to the road accident, well, apart from the human factor, I think majority of the problems have to do with the technical aspect of it. Look at the kind of roads that we use. A place that you are supposed to take 3 hours to get there. You end up spending 6 hours. So already the tired driver gets frustrated. And then they end up overspeeding just to make up time. And accident is caused. Look at the quality of the vehicles we have on our roads. At the end of the day, all these vehicles are certified and are allowed to be on our roads. Vehicles that are supposed to have 12 passengers, you just board into them and it's 16, 20 passengers. So look at the weight that it puts on the vehicle itself and then the tire. There are a whole lot. You see policemen, yes, there's a lot of visibility on our roads. But what do? They stop the car, take 5 cities, and that's the end of the story. So let's demand accountability from our people. It's okay to catch some few Okada riders and parade them on TV. That's okay. But we have to solve the major problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Kwame. Joining us from Accra. Kwame is our last caller. We really appreciate it when you call to share your thoughts with us. Together, we shape the country and the discourse that will help us, get to the point where we all hope to get to. Benjamin?
All of us are involved, and that's a matter that is critical now. We must all contribute. Even children, we must listen to them as they speak about their own issues.
Concerns, of course, because they and the interesting thing is that for those who are 60 plus, many of the major decisions, especially those at governmental and leadership levels, many of the decisions that we'll be taking will have a ripple effect. In fact, the younger generation will bear the consequences. It reminds me of that scripture, the older generation have taken sour grapes and the teeth of the young ones are on edge. So, I mean, everybody has a voice in this country. We must not deny anybody that.
Right before we go, I was discussing with Samuel Kojo-Brace this morning. You know the bit about Galamsey and how some have said that it would take about 100 years if we stopped doing anything to our water bodies today. Imagine that. Many of us will not be here in 100 years' time. These misleaders will not be there. It will be the little ones who will come and bear the brunt of that. Climate change is there. Global warming is there. Look at what we're doing to our economy. Look at what we're doing to our natural resources.
Well,
so the best time to speak is now.
Yes, really. Arise Ghana Youth for Your Country. If you ask me to summarize what our callers basically said, it will be in that song.
Yeah.
And well, before we go, we just have a few birthday wishes. Loretta, our very own Loretta, today is your birthday. We wish you all the best, God's love and protection. And Jacqueline and Sumaya Boa, same to you, from our heart to yours, and to all of you who are celebrating your birthdays.
So both of them celebrated their birthdays yesterday.
And I missed it, so belated wishes to you. My bad. I actually missed that yesterday. I should have done it for you. And so there's a special one going out to all of you. And those who are celebrating their birthdays today, peace and love and God's blessings to you. Benjamin and I are done. Up next is News Desk with Aisha Ibrahim. Please stay. Take care, enjoy your weekend, and drive safe.